it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bungie, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been golden when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Refuse not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gon' stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Bode.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. Had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. Quick audio check. I gotta notice I did change some things around. Are we good in spaces? Can you hear us now? And Duke is wanting to make sure you can hear him. One sec. How about now? Check. Good to go. Audio space is back. I told Payne, he jumped in, got him up early in the green room this morning to test this. We tested, but wasn't sure it'd be working on spaces. It wasn't. I said next time I'm actually going to label the cables. I had to move the broadcaster, and there's like, I don't know, it's a wreck back there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things plugged in, mics, headphones, all the above, and 2 of them are just plugged in wrong. But we are good to go now. And as always, I'm Cap, co-host. Oh, actually, I have a co-host joining us here in a few minutes for a little bit today. And but as always, co-host or no co-host, never any financial advice this year. Crypto is risky, NFTs risky, meme coins exception risky. It can all go to zero moments. So please don't put any money you can't afford to lose. Now, the whole token I'll talk about from time to time here on the show. Not a financial advisor. Shouldn't let your financial advisor. Don't join for that. Just join for some fun, some information, and a little bit of education along the way. Probably notice the virtual background as well. We will going to be doing some setup this weekend, and a couple things. One, we'll do some setup, so we'll be back to all natural background Monday, as well as probably not going to have it Monday, but I am going to get a new camera. So for those of you that get motion sickness when I bang away at the keyboard because the monitor bounces. That will hopefully be going soon as we are getting sorry, Briss. It is what it is. You got to deal with it today. We will be back to if the virtual backgrounds bother you too much, you can just head over to Audio Spaces. But we'll be back on Monday. I'm not even say back. Hopefully a better show. Hopefully a better show with a camera that doesn't bounce because the MacBook camera is just that good. It doesn't need an extra camera, but unless you're typing while you talk, which I do quite frequently. But as always, again, if you haven't already done so, give us some love on the space. Hit the like, the repost, the bookmark up top. You'll also find up there the YouTube and the abstract links. Appreciate all that love. It does warm up the algo and does us a real solid. Shout out to our GMers over in YouTube, Riss, Payne. We got Harris on the X video feed. We got Absolute Zero and RDL in the YouTube chat over on Abstract. Teacher Katie, as always. Thomas, as always. Appreciate the heads up on the Audio Spaces. We are good now. Appreciate it. Katie likes the background, so I like the plant. Here is a quick glimpse into my non-crypto life, and then we will get into news of the day, trending topics. If there's anything that caught your eye, I got a few things I want to talk about, and we'll do a little NFT talk here in a bit as well. But if there's anything in particular that caught your attention that you have questions on or want to do a deeper dive, let me know. And I don't even know if Joey knows this. Joey, are you aware, assuming Joey's out there, are you aware that you're at the top of the SBS leaderboard? Kind of a big deal. I would like to look at your team first, but if you're interested in selling, yeah, I know that if you're interested in selling a little bit of that stake, I would I might be interested in some equity if you're looking to basically at least get your money back. I just am looking for the sweat because, man, fantasy sports best ball can be a brutal game at times. You can get 90% of the things, you can be right for 15, 16 weeks out of the year. And like I had over 100 teams advance to the best ball playoffs, which is a lot. It's most I've ever had. Now my volume was also up, but from a percentage standpoint, I don't even know what the exact percentage was, but it was good. I was very pleased. I missed my big ones, my higher stake ones, like the 100 to 250 type buy-ins, but I only got one in the best ball mania. So like the higher stakes ones, I didn't do well, but I didn't fire much volume there this year. There was a few, and it's just variance. It happens. Where I fired a lot of volume was where I thought I had edge in the pre-draft stuff, and I crushed. And then Kyle Pitts happened last week, and then Puka Nakua happened last night. So after last week, it kind of normal. Like I got 11 teams through on Underdog, which isn't bad. It's not the worst. Like I got 11 shots to win 6 figures. I've got one of those 11 teams has Puka Nakua, Puka and Stafford, and none of the others do. So we're not dead. There's one team where I was pretty bummed because I've got a really strong team, and it had like a JSN and maybe Sharbs from last night, but loaded. Like JSN, I needed his score. But the fact that Puka outscored JSN, and like I'm in second right now after just JSN and Sharbs, but it's going to be so hard to catch Puka and Stafford. They just put up monster scores. And to make matters worse, in my Dynasty League, the one I'm defending champion on, I've been playing it for like 20 some years. It's pretty high stakes as well. I have 3 incredible quarterbacks, Stafford, Goff, not incredible, but 3 really quality quarterbacks I've been streaming all year. Made most of the right choices. Stafford just stood on his head this year, but I had Stafford, Purdy, and Goff. And after saw the allegedly 20 to 40 mile an hour winds in Seattle last night, in Seattle on the road, whereas Purdy has Monday night game against the Colts. I think the DBs are still out, and he's been playing hot. It just seemed like the right call. He may still be, but he's going to have to hang like a 50 burger to the way this scoring works. It's I am Joey. You can come back up. We lost you there. Have to take another shot at it. Do a quick lap, and we'll get you up here. But yeah, pretty pretty not a bad beat. There's still hope, but yeah, just you know what it does. Underdog's also very smart for how they do their payouts, because when you feel really smart, but then take a bad beat or variance just wins, which happens, you're like, okay, I've solved this game. I get it. I do have edge. And basically, I'm just going to wipe out my entire underdog balance firing into playoff best balls. So takes one chip, takes one bullet. We got 11 left. I'm not expecting 11 to make it through to the finals, but still, it's having fun. Let's do this. I saw Imlu flew up on stage first. We'll go to Imlo, then we'll get Joey on here. I'm guessing he's probably taking a victory lap about his SBS team, if he even is aware. And Imlo, GM, what brought you up this morning, sir?
GM, a few things. One is, I don't know if you saw, but yesterday Jack Butcher airdropped the receipt signatures to everyone who participated in the Art Basel drop during Art Basel. And basically what he did is the art in the signature box, like people decided instead of writing their names or writing their signatures, people actually started drawing pictures and things in that box, and that's what was airdropped. But in the metadata, you can see how much someone paid, how much someone tipped, and all that other data. So the rarity is based on that. And I think they're all soul-bound tokens. You can't actually sell them. That was one thing. The other thing is, did you see all those punk liquidations or like punk liquidations coming up?
Yeah.
Do you think that that's going to be a big problem coming up? I also saw Adam Weitzman said that he's basically going to put in a bid wall to save everyone. Not actually a bid wall, but he said if anyone's having problems with liquidations, reach out to him and he'll help kind of stop that.
Yeah, we did talk about this yesterday. We talked about the Sierra's post, the punk liquidations, and Adam's offer to backstop anyone if they've got a quality asset. Obviously, punks being one of them. But let's hit on the Jack thing real quick, and then we'll get. Actually, let's do this. Joey, go ahead and get in here because I'm guessing it's SBS related. Were you even aware? And then we'll come right back to this Jack Butcher and Imlo's conversation. Joey, were you even aware that you're at the top of the SBS leaderboard?
Yeah, I only had three lineup playoffs, and two of them did not do so well. And I saw that I had that one, so I am. This is my first time playing SBS this year, so I'm kind of excited. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested in the team, I believe I can't. I honestly don't even remember. I checked the other day what it who it was. My assumption is it's my LA Rams build.
Yes.
Which is probably why it's doing so well. But yeah, if you're check out the lineup, if you're interested, let me know. I'm down to make a move on it because I know you'd have more fun sweating it out than me.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Yeah, no, congrats. Rams build is definitely a good one right now. I don't even know who they have next week, but you're in a pretty good spot if you had Rams. QB1.
Oh, they have like the last two games, the last 2 weeks the Rams have, I think, are like the Cardinals and like the Cardinals and somebody else bad.
Yeah, pretty good.
Cardinals
spot.
and Panthers or something, or Cardinals and I don't know. It's somebody bad. They don't have anybody left good on their schedule, I believe. If I remember from last night's game.
Yeah, pretty good spot you're in, I would say. I want the records to show, Payne, that I did successfully exit the cold open by 8:10. Blame Joey for today's extension on the cold open to 8:14. We're still going to be getting in under 15 minutes because we're going to talk some art. Imlo, I expected Jack to do something else with the receipts collection. Thoughts on Soulbound?
So it is soulbound, but you can actually go in and edit your receipt. So if you did like a stinky scribble before and you want to go back in and put in an art piece, you can actually take the receipt, go back in and edit what art piece or signature you put in. So it's continuing that process. And basically anyone effectively who collaborated with Jack in that has work now in the museum, the X museum in China. So basically if you participated, you are a museum artist.
I'm an artist. I'm an artist in a museum. How does that work though? How is the
so on the receipts, if you got a paper receipt at Basel, you got basically paper wallet that had 12-word seed phrase in it that you go on the receipts website and you input the seed phrase, and then it'll actually give you access to that receipt, and you can go in and change the art on that. So even though you can't buy or sell it right now, or maybe ever, you can go in and edit the receipt and edit your art and keep collaborating with Jack. And if you wanted to do something interesting, like put like coffee with Cap or coffee with Cap every weekday morning at whatever, and you wanted to write that in and you had a receipt, you could actually go back in and kind of advertise for yourself in there. I've seen some people do it in cool ways.
My art. So I did one. I haven't uploaded my actual the paper one I did. I haven't uploaded that one. Or I haven't got the. I haven't. I need to do this now before I forget, because I need to add it to another wallet. Otherwise, I'll lose the paper receipt and never go back. I did one online as well. Like the day we talked about it, I did $1, and mine, it's rather disappointing. This is my.
So you can actually go to the one that's in your wallet and sign with that same wallet and go in and edit it and edit the art that's there. So whatever was there before is not going to show in the future.
Where do
if you change that art?
How do I edit it? I don't see the edit. Oh, I get it now. Oh, you click the arrow. Good, because if I'm going to be in a museum, this is not really the art I would like to be known for. I'm proud of the name, but this is not. Most people would not consider this fine art. I have another question for you on kind of this topic, related but unrelated. Have you done Snowfro's? I can't remember what it's called. His
send receive.
Yeah, send receive. Have you done that? Because I went to the site, I attempted to do it, but I couldn't figure out what I'm supposed to do.
Okay, so for Snowfro send receive, and for all that don't know, this is the last Art Blocks project ever, or at least under this capacity, ending the Art Blocks 500. So the past 500 Art Blocks that have dropped since 2021, this is the final one. And instead of selling it, Snowfro actually did it all as either a free claim or a free airdrop to people holding Art Blocks assets. And what you can do basically is go in and actually edit what signal you want to send. So you can go in and put in your PFP and upload that as your logo inside of send receive and put it to say send and receive, and then you'll start getting art on the network from other people that are sending and receiving on that art project.
Okay, that makes sense. So you do have to have an Art Blocks, because I just logged in with my hot wallet. I don't think I have any Art Blocks in there unless it recognized Delegate.
You can also go on OpenSea and buy it for like $10-15. Like, even if you don't have one, worth doing that for the last Art Blocks project. Limited downside for a $10-15 project for an original Snowfro that you can then mess around with.
Yeah, I agree. But I also, do you happen to know if they use Delegate?
Not sure, but you can. I think that they definitely did have some sort of Delegate thing set up. So if you go into the Art Blocks, but you needed to have had the Art Blocks profile set up before.
I'm pretty sure I did that. I just don't know.
If you want to DM me offline, I'm happy to help you like figure out that stuff. But you probably do have it somewhere. If not, it might have been airdropped to you. You might not have seen it just because it's like a low cost NFT that was airdropped to you.
But what am I like? Is this is what I see when I go to the site? Like, what are you supposed to do once you're here?
So you log in, if you have the NFT in your wallet, then it'll allow you to sign in and actually edit the NFT and basically upload either a logo or draw a logo or draw a symbol or something like that. Or you can even go in and it has different boxes where you can choose what animal or character or plant, whatever you want the character to be.
Sorry, I didn't realize there was music there.
Oh, and then you can also, if you want, you can also score a tune for yourself in that and embed it online as well onto the NFT.
Yeah, pretty. Like you said, this is stuff like, are you going to flip this thing for 5 figures? No.
Well, there are also 60,000 of them. Yeah. There is a limit of 60,000 of them, so they're not flippable at the current moment. I'd say the most equal project that Snowfro has done would be friendship bracelets, which are currently at like 0.01 ETH.
That's exactly
so I don't see these going higher than that at the moment. But it's still a fun project.
Yeah, it is a fun project, and that's exactly what I was going to reference as friendship bracelets. Is they might be 0.01 ETH now. I'm pretty sure, and I probably shouldn't have done this.
Those used to be 0.4 ETH plus. Like I was selling them for more than that.
I think I got 2, and I think I sold 1 for over 0.5, if I'm not mistaken. I need to go back and check the chain, but It was definitely a nice win. It ran. I'm pretty sure it ran up to 0.5, maybe 0.6 at one point. Again, that's not the expectation. That's not now. But
I also don't think, even though there's an upper limit of 60,000, unless they change the restrictions or requirements to get it, I don't see the numbers going that high, considering that you had to have the Artblocks account already, and not that many people are engaged in the ecosystem at this current moment. So I do see this potentially being like relatively limited, under 10,000 in the future, if people don't claim it.
yeah, I agree. And this is like the kind of stuff where down markets, especially NFT sentiment bottoming, you can do this kind of stuff. You're supporting art blocks is absolutely you can't talk about the generative NFT boom without talking about art blocks. You can't, Snowfro has established himself as a leader in the space. This is the final one of the collection. Maybe nothing comes from it, but it's for a few bucks to go play around, do something fun.
Well, and you can even put your PFP into the art project. So you can literally have your PFP in art blocks forever.
Yeah. And I think, just as I was talking about with Jack and Beeple, like while this is all on chain, there's not the physical component at this time. This is experiential. This is participatory art. Like, I think more and more of this is because of what the tech can do. And you never know who in the future might, like right now, yeah, you might not be able to flip this thing for any gain, but there very well could be at some point, the next big thing. They might look at these and say, whoever has one of these in your wallet, you get access, you get allow list, et cetera, et cetera. This is a pretty sad art blocks profile here, but this is all I've got in that.
And by the way, if you had a friendship bracelet, you could have gotten one of these for free. So it's the lowest entry point into the art blocks ecosystem.
Yep. No one probably knows about these flowers, but this was a grail at one point.
Arvig?
Yeah. You familiar?
Yeah, I love those flowers.
Do you looking at the screen? Do you see mine? I got a pretty.
I'm not looking at the screen. I just know I have an affinity for flowers, so I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I've got it's a black and white one, and pretty at least trait wise at the time it was pretty rare. I might have had like several. Would I have had a multi ETH offer on this? Do you think at one point if it was a grail flowers?
Very possible. The problem, or not problem, but generative art went through a boom, and it's not a bust, but there's been a bit of a lull the past few months. So I'd say, like, if you wanted to ever buy back into different generative projects, look at them, because all of them are down from their all-time highs. So pretty solid entry points.
Yeah, I got it put up on screen here now, and just the white black. There was only I thought where'd it go? Yeah, there was only 8% of the color be black and only 4% white. And there was just few of this style. Anyways, I digress. This is now that I say this is another. I'm pretty sure this Spawn from Jack Provencher. Are you familiar with this one? These are factory collections too, so they weren't even part of the big. Anyways, this Spawn, I'm pretty sure this was one like you created somehow as well. I don't remember the details, but my brain, if it's not mistaken me, I think this was one where not exactly like send and receive, but you did something on chain to make
yeah. So the factory projects in general were more dynamic and more experimentative than the curated projects. That's why it's interesting that Snowfro chose to go with this project for the last one. And if you remember, the last 4 or 5 projects have been interesting. You had Jack Butcher with Gas Wars. Then you had the Larva Labs founders from the CryptoPunks founders who made Quine. Then you had Jeff Davis, Jeff Davis, who did basically a rendition of the entire 490 whatever art blocks beforehand, and took all of the data from that and made a color study project. And then the last project is basically what Snowfro's son did was the second to last project, and Snowfro's project, this one is the last one. So it's an interesting wrap up to the 500 collections that Artblocks has done. And if you do the math, they're basically doing more than one project a day back in 2021. So the fact that they got to 500 in under 4 years is insane.
Yep, pretty pretty cool. Do you have any guesses? Like, what do you think's next for Art Blocks? Have they said anything? I know this is closing.
So I had some nice conversations with Snowfro both in Marfa and in Art Basel, and they're just the reason that they needed to cap the 500 is more because they want to now have this be kind of the shining collection and then move on to the next steps, which is maybe explore with AI, maybe explore with other types of generative. I know Snowfro is also working on generative goods, which is physical items. So like making hats that are all one of X that are all unique, so everyone can have their own unique hat or merchandise or shirt or anything, and basically showing that you can do generative basically anything.
Yeah, I'm. Good time to experiment. Good time to have fun. Good time to play around on chain. Good time, like you said, collect things that you might have not been able to collect in the past or not been interested because of the entry price point, and now are a little more accessible. Again, don't go burning a bunch of money on things.
Well, the other thing I'd say, yeah, obviously don't go burning a bunch of money, but if you do a little research, you'll see some of the most well-renowned traditional artists that have NFT collections. I'm talking about, let's say, Nina Chanel Abney or Shepard Fairey or even Damien Hirst. They have collections that are not as hype right now, even though in the traditional world, their art is selling for tens of thousands of dollars. You can have original one of ones or one of X's for under $100 for some of these artists. So definitely worth just exploring and seeing different artists that you might see in museums that actually have NFT collections. You can get that for very cheap because they're not so hype right now. But I could definitely see those coming back in the future.
Imlo, do you have any? It just hit me yesterday. We were talking post show that Christmas Day is a week from yesterday. Actually, the 26th. I have my daughter's got a. Never mind. At some point, I think before the end of the year, it would be fun to do a specific deep dive on low priced art. Like maybe we pick a price point, 0.01 ETH or lower. I don't know what that equates to, $30. Is that right?
I would do 0.03 and lower because then that you really will get the top quality.
And
I would say 0.03 and lower, and you can literally get museum quality pieces.
I think this could be a fun thing, and we can get the audience in. So coming soon, maybe we've been talking NFTs more, this NFT segment ish on Fridays. Maybe that's something we do on a future Friday is museum quality art for 0.03 ETH or less. And what, some of these, especially if they're higher supply editions and stuff, you could go collect for like $1. But I think even there is a lot of art out there that is not, and maybe this stuff never comes back. I do still feel that we had a digital art moment at Art Basel, and I don't see that ending. It's just going to take some time for the pull through. It's not going to happen immediately. It's also, this market is
right. And I would also say the same way that you get more interested in a sports game if you have some skin in the game and you're betting on that game or you're predicting what the outcome of the game. The same way you have some more skin in the game in an artist's career or an art piece or art collection. Having some skin in the game can help also, because then you'll go and see whenever they're having an exhibition or the museum near you is having a show on that artist, you'll actually show up and say, oh, I own a piece by this artist. I think there's definitely a cool experience going and seeing art that you own that's presented in a really cool way.
I agree. I did quick reminder, a little bit of housekeeping. I just pinned up top. Well, I think it pinned it up top. It might take a second. I'm going to be joining Funky this afternoon for Funky Fridays at noon Eastern. 5 p.m. UTC time. I will pin it up top if it didn't go. That'll be up top in a second. There it is. If you do us a favor, if you're around this afternoon, if you got anything else going on, go hit that reminder. It's in the first comment on Funky's tweet up top. Would love to see some of y'all there. And excited to join Funky, one of our legends, one of our longtime listener, and a great contributor here on the show. And looking forward to the chat here later today. I saw we had Harris jump up on stage. Harris, I think first time caller, first time on the stage here. Welcome to Coffee with Captain. GM, what brought you up this morning? Harris going once. Harris going twice. It's okay if you want to order farm. That's all right. How about Mr. Haber? Aaron, GM, long time, sir. How you doing?
Oh, hey, Cap, I'm happy to talk to you, but really I came to talk to Steve. Where's Steve?
That's funny. Have you not heard the news? Or you just
Sorry,
is this your jokester self coming out?
is Steve okay?
Yeah, Steve's
Is
great.
is he all right? Do I need to send flowers anywhere?
Well, it probably. If you feel bad for anyone that has to take a bunch of arrows for OpenSea's rewards program, and their TGE that'll happen in Q1, then yeah, you should probably send some flowers to Steve because he is
Is he sick? It's not like him to miss your show.
he
I mean,
is
it's coffee with Captain. You're the captain. He's the coffee.
Steve. Yes, but we said yesterday, if you missed, we should have named the show Coffee with Captains because Steve has departed this, and he's now captaining his own boat, navigating the treacherous open seas, and in particular their rewards program and comms and all things over at OpenSea.
So he's not here anymore.
Correct.
I'm out.
Good hearing from you.
No, I'll stick around.
But in all seriousness, how have you been? We're going to get you on here on the show talk about. I saw the big news with Clutch and some other stuff. We don't need to get into a full deep dive, but what family doing good? Looking forward to the holiday season and all things that you and Ernest are building on chain.
Oh yeah, no, we're having a great time. I'm a mogul now. I don't know if you knew that.
A mogul.
I mean, we've hung out before in person and everything, but when we do the next time, you'll be able to name drop.
Hey, I knew this guy before he hit it big.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah. So Ernest and I, my partner Ernest Lee, we have a company called Board Council, and we did in fact form a partnership, an agreement, whatever legal term Ernest says, with Simple Farmer, OX Simple 0x Simple Farmer, who is the head of DeFi for ApeCo on ApeChain. But he also started Apes Predict, Clutch Markets, and Clutch Puppies. And so, yes, we are now partners with him. He still does everything because I know a lot about NFTs and blockchain. I don't know dick about prediction markets. We give him ideas. We brainstorm. We help innovate, which he's also a great innovator, and then we just let him do his thing. So we're there to support and help him grow. But he's the genius behind Clutch Markets, and so yes, that is a thing that I'm very, very much looking forward to continuing on with him and Ernest.
Is Ernest the ape that has Bored Ape tattoos on his chest?
A few of them.
Yeah. No, Ernest is the ape that has tattoos on his chest, his arm, and now his back. I mean, the man's unstoppable. He's going to have to clone himself just so he can keep up with the tattoos. He's running out of room.
What did he put on his back? I don't know if I've seen the back one.
Maybe I'm not supposed to say anything. Never mind.
Okay, it's a new secret one. He put a. Well, yeah, we'll let that go then.
But that's not even the thing, Count, that I've been trying to talk with you about. I mean, we can leave it for next week, but Ernest and I have. I don't want to crash your stage. Speaking of crashes, Law got into a car accident and he's okay. But I just wanted to say, Law, I'm glad you're okay.
I also.
And I'm sorry about your car.
I also am glad he's okay. I saw it like the day after the fact, and sent him some virtual hugs and flowers. Then glad he's doing okay, and yeah, the life's short. Cars can be replaced, people can't, and glad to see that he made it through, and sending the best for hopefully a speedy resolution of the car. Now it's frustrating and headaches and never quite as easy as it should be. But why you mentioned Law too, also good reminder to shout out the Welcome Apes crew, Law and Dora. I know there's more on that team, but those two really put literal blood, sweat, tears into that thing, and man, the Welcome Ape account 24/7. They there was a cool chick picked up her ape recently. Well deserved, exciting. I mean, she's been a honorary member of the club for a while now. It was great to see her get that pick up her that mutant grail, and the response to that went trending. It was in the X News. See if I can find the actual clip here.
I mean, that's exciting, but you know, X News is sort of tailored to your own feed. It's not like
It wasn't my feed.
you know, everybody in the world got that, but I mean, that is very exciting.
Diablito asks, are you spotting Simple Farmer? Is that part of the business deal? Do you have
Am
to
I?
do leg
Oh
day? Do
yeah,
you have
no
to do
way.
leg
I saw
day
one of his
with?
pictures yesterday. I called HR.
Do you
I
have to do?
mean, the guy's got to put on some clothes. I mean, but look at that guy. He's like a diesel engine. He's like a truck.
I can't.
That guy.
I can't do the short shorts. I'm older than Simple Farmer. Those are fashion goes in cycles, I guess. Like apparently I don't know if he's a millennial. I'm guessing he's millennial, maybe a Zoomer. But I guess millennials are throwing it back to like the early '80s, before like the actual long basketball short, before the Fab Five, like pre Fab Five. What Simple Farmer's wearing in this video was like this was the norm. And
You know, some acquisitions are, you know, to like acquire a company or a team. We did it
quads.
for the quads. Yeah, we did it for the quads. You were saying, Captain, that that people are irreplaceable. Does that mean you're never getting another co-host? Does that mean
Yep,
you're
that's
never going to
correct.
replace Steve?
That's correct. No permanent co-host. He is irreplaceable. Steve's a one of one. So in lieu of that, we are doing more interviews, more special guests, and some rotational co-hosts from time to time, just some different voices. Outer Limit is joining us on Tuesdays. Loki is coming on for just a brief NFT segment on Fridays. And yeah, as we head into the new year, going to be doing more segments, more different voices. But yeah, I didn't want to put that pressure on any one individual to attempt to fill Steve's shoes. It's just not possible.
And
I'm
my
not saying other people
invite
can't host
is in the
spaces.
DMs.
What's that?
My invite to do a segment or co-host is in the DMs.
Yep. I looking forward to connecting next week. But no, I just there's certainly other people who are capable of hosting spaces. It would be unrealistic to think someone could step into the co-host and have the same chemistry that Steve and I developed after 1,000 shows. It's just it was something that was a not just the chemistry on stage, but great friend and a lot in common beyond crypto. So yeah, no one-to-one replacement, but we ride. We've got some exciting stuff.
So you guys aren't friends anymore?
Correct. We don't talk anymore. He's been blocked
Nice.
on all socials.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
There is Loki will be popping in here in a bit. We'll talk a little bit more about NFTs. There's one other thing I wanted to touch on this morning, kind of like higher level. I don't even want to say macro. It's really, and I don't want to keep going back to 1010, but we have to. Like something happened. We don't really know exactly what yet. The crypto is risky, it's volatile, but the volatility, the price action we've seen is very unique. I've never seen it in the 5 years I've been here. And I had a few other posts. I'll probably put them up in a second. But then even after the ones I shared yesterday in the war room, I saw Raul sent this out last night. I'll pull this up, and I'm curious. I mean, anyone that would like to comment is welcome to. But I saw Oxy fly up here and thought he might have some specific thoughts and takes on Raul's post here. I'll go share this up top as well for you, those of you that aren't looking at video and on the X audio spaces only. He opens it up here with when I'm quoting Raul, when I distill down October 10th, I get to this. Sorry, the X. I don't know why they changed how we post things to Jumbotron. I'm going to stop my rant on that. But he goes, Binance broke, the world's largest exchange. The APIs shut down for market makers. Everyone got liquidated. Most market makers were not able to backstop liquidity. It spread across exchanges. Those exchanges have their own market makers or the ability to backstop prices, probably absorbed a huge amount of liquidation in small caps and majors. Someone had to step in. The equity flash crash in 2010 was similar. I'm not familiar with that. If anyone is, feel free to educate us. He then says that inventory, much like a large market making desk or program trading desk in equities has to be unwound to reduce the extra risk they took on. There's been tens of billions of backstop liquidity to unwind, some at huge losses, some at amazing profits. It is not market manipulation. If there was any, it was in the backstopping of prices when market makers couldn't due to technical issues. This is what we're seeing today, in my mind. Those that backstop the liquidity need to de-risk. In program trading, we would see the same. Everyday liquidations to average out over time and reduce impact as much as possible. Things are not liquid. Things are not liquid right now, so that has a very large. Oh, sorry. I think he's saying there is not liquidity right now, so that has a large impact. Year-end audits and market liquidity constraints around year-end means that a lot needs to get finished now. This too shall pass. Oxy, not to put you on the spot, I'm curious your comments or thoughts on this, and then feel free to take it whichever direction or whatever brought you up. GM.
Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of feels like there is something broken, and just the lack of liquidity, I think, is very, very real, and it's shown by like how volatile we've had markets lately. I mean, the fact that Bitcoin's moving up and down by thousands of dollars in hours is unnatural and unhealthy, and the way that I think it probably is happening is probably through market makers, not because they're doing anything wrong necessarily, but because what a market maker is essentially trying to do is bridge the gap between a decentralized exchange and the price on the decentralized exchange, and then the centralized exchange and the price and like the trading activity between the two. So what they'll do is they'll buy a bunch of Bitcoin on centralized exchanges, expecting a lot of volume there, be the liquidity pool, so to speak, on the centralized exchange, while trying to pin it, while also arbitraging like the on-chain decentralized exchange liquidity and price action. So all that to say, I think there's a lack of liquidity at the market maker level, but then also between the centralized exchange and decentralized exchange levels, to where like price fluctuations can be very drastic because there's nothing there to buffer buys and sells at extreme levels, while also like taking into account the leverage situation that we have going on here. Like the fact that anyone with a pulse can go out and 50x leverage a Bitcoin long or short just adds to that volatility exponentially. So it's it's a really interesting place to be in, because we don't see it. Like we can't see it, or we just can't see it, I guess, is the reality of it. And we just see this price action like, oh, that's unnatural. That doesn't feel right. And I mean, I feel like the only explanation really is liquidity, like lack of liquidity depth because of 1010 probably.
Yeah, and again, I'm not nearly as educated on financial markets as is Raul here, but it makes sense what he's saying. That I guess, and the other way to read this is, had they not stepped in on 1010, things would have went a lot lower. Things would, like, some tokens would have went to literal zero. Is that fair or close to it? Like things would have gotten, basically things were bad on 1010, but it did find a bottom relatively quickly. And while we've not recovered, it's been kind of slowly down only since then. So would make sense that those that did step in and attempt to stop the bleeding are now having to exit those positions. Does that check out? Like, had they not stepped in, it could have been like 1010 things could have really crashed on 1010, even much more so than they did.
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible to say. Like, it's impossible to say, what could have happened. But for sure, I mean, the fact that there's market makers, no matter what market you're in, whether it's stocks or small cap or large cap stocks or crypto and altcoins or meme coins, there's market makers literally in every aspect of trading in financial markets. Like,
I'm sorry, let me do this. Like, I got a couple other posts I want to show, but if you don't mind, it's market makers aren't like this exists in all markets. Like it's not all financial markets. They're not manipulating the market. It's for those that aren't familiar. Like, can you maybe like give us a high level? Why is that not manipulating the market? What is a market maker's role in these ecosystems, and maybe help us understand why this isn't market manipulation, rather it's their quote unquote job.
Yeah. So let me maybe I caveat with market making isn't manipulating the market, but it can be. I guess maybe is the caveat is like doesn't just because there's a market maker doesn't mean they're manipulating the market, but a market maker can manipulate the market in certain instances. So in like what a market maker is supposed to do is essentially what I was explaining is provide liquidity and like there's clearly like a gap between a centralized exchange and the trading going on there and a decentralized exchange that's using liquidity pools like a Uniswap or a Project X or what have you um, to manage buys and sells at a very fast pace and high volume. So what a market maker typically, what is a market makers doing in the crypto world is kind of bridging that gap. Now, in a financial like financial markets, say you place place a trade on Robinhood. There was a video I posted it the other day. There was a video that was explaining that you don't when you place a trade on Robinhood, it doesn't go directly to the New York Stock Exchange and place that trade for you. That's not how it works. It goes through a bunch of different steps. It goes through a bunch of different funds or agencies or market makers where they will sell you if you're placing a buy. They'll sell you some of their shares at X price, and then go on the other end and either make another trade or open up some kind of option to like offset their position that they have in that particular industry. And it's typically all automated. Like what Raul was saying is like, it's a lot of automated, just, okay, here, we're trying to sell at X amount of price. There's a buy coming in from Robinhood. We'll sell it to them for whatever dollar it is. So it's more like liquidity providing in financial markets, just like it is in crypto markets. So all that said, they obviously have a lot of power over buys and sells and those transactions that are occurring. So where manipulation can take place is like arbitrage situations. So if I place a buy on Robinhood for Nvidia, they could go out and they'll be like, oh, you know what? I can buy it for cheaper over here and then sell it to this person for whatever their buy value is at $300. I can go buy it for $298 over here. So I'll arbitrage those $2 and sell it to XYZ person that's buying on Robinhood, and I make $2 off of that trade. So that's where the arbitrage and the negative sentiment comes from, is because they really are arbitraging the markets to where they're making money off of price discrepancies between what Robinhood is showing, what they can buy it at somewhere else. And then obviously they hold so much power over the volume and transactions and stuff. They clearly hold huge amounts of these tokens in order to be that liquidity provider. So price fluctuations based on their actions are drastic. So if they sell a ton because they have to rebalance their portfolio or rebalance their positions, that can drastically change, market price, which is likely what happened on 1010. Is like, oh shit, we're way over levered in hype because we were, a lot of people were buying it on centralized exchanges and not on decentralized exchanges where there's a ton of leverage here. So we're way over leveraged on X, whatever token. We have to sell a bunch of it because a lot of people are trying to buy Bitcoin or trying to sell Bitcoin or whatever. So that's where huge volatility can come into play because of market maker actions that sometimes is perceived as manipulation when it's just them rebalancing positions or doing their job, essentially.
Yeah, no, well said. Appreciate that. And I guess the other thing is like, we don't really know what broke. I do want to recognize we had geez, no, I'm not seeing it in the chat. We got the take that there was the Trump Mike in the chat said on October 10th, Trump made a surprise announcement to put 100% tariff on China. The traditional markets and crypto got crushed because investors hate volatility and were scared of the huge trade war. I'm sure that's maybe like what started moving it, but something there was more than just that, in my opinion. And maybe that's what like broke whatever broke. But I still don't feel as if we've even got a good postmortem on like what broke the APIs, what broke at Binance. Like Terrell's point here is like Binance broke how, what happened, why did the API shut down? And we haven't like, I'm not mistaken, like they haven't addressed. I know Binance came out and like they gave some refunds or some rebates to people who got it was like 1 cent on the dollar, but I'm not wrong.
You don't think that part of it also has to do with the fact that people are now leveraged to the much more than they've ever been before
that definitely
with
has something to do-
Hyperliquid
no,
and
I-
all those other
absolutely
cryptexes?
Absolutely. I definitely believe that has more to do, that's something to do with it. But I believe it's more than just the tariff announcement. It's more than just the over leverage. It just, I mean, maybe it's a combination of all these factors. And then when the APIs broke, because of the largest leverage we've probably ever had, like those people, there was just more to unwind. There was more to backstop. And it's just, so I saw someone have a take like, would love to see more. I have no idea who posted. I'll go back in my likes, maybe I can find it. But someone's like, it'd be great to have more on-chain journalists, like real journalists that understand how to read all the ether scans, all the data. Like I know part of it's, we don't know if it's on the exchanges. That makes things tough. But it would be great, like have a Zach XPT that's not just looking for criminals, but that can commentate on this stuff from the data point of view. And I know it's easier said than done, and it's probably, I mean, it's not the kind of work I would enjoy, that's for sure. I'd be happy to talk about it, but I'm not the one that's going to go surfacing all this information. It just, for as many billions of dollars that got lost as a result of October 10th, you would think we'd have more reporting out about it, at least more, or maybe they are. It's taken them this long, but that was over 2 months ago. Like it's been a while, and just surprising, a little bit, somewhat surprising. We haven't seen more information come on like what actually happened. Why did Binance break? And the fact that they don't even address it and just move on and everyone's cool. Like that's weird to me. You'd almost have to think like these market makers, they've been told otherwise you'd think you would see a mass exodus from Binance. Like I can't imagine getting wiped like that because of an API breaking and then going back for more without a real reasoning, without any real, I don't want to say excuse, but why did this happen? A couple other takes on this topic. So this is, I'll flip to the other side here, whereas Raoul says not market manipulation. Knobs here says, simply put, because this was a quote tweet from Leo Trade, says whoever is left, we need to know what happened on October 10th. It's very apparent that the market broke that day and has not been the same since. We haven't seen Bitcoin or alts trade like this since 2018. We need answers. And referencing the extreme, this was the 17th when we saw the God candle followed by the immediate sell-off, ended up lower than where we were, like $5,000 swing in a matter of minutes. To which Knob quote tweets Elliot Trades post and says, CZ got mad at Jeff, Hyperliquid Jeff, on purpose and needed a reason to get everyone levered up. 2, the objective was to make it look like a perp war. 3, launches Aster, gives everyone a 20x. 4, every MFer out there gets max greedy and leverages up to farm Aster. 5, accidentally Binance lets a major stablecoin exploit on their platform. 6, the Binance Cabal dude, Garrett, uses the exploit plus the White House news to liquidate everyone and create a death spiral. 7, Binance gives 1 cent on the dollar to compensate the people in the aftermath with the worst ADL rate possible for market makers. 8, they never mention it again. 9, they realized they got away with crime pretty easily, so they made it more common. 10, welcome to hell. I think the real answer, we may never know, except for a handful of people, is probably somewhere in between. Since we were commenting on that, Oxy, any response or thoughts on Knob's 10 bullet pointed list here?
Yeah, that's hilarious, to be honest. Something that is really interesting is that him mentioning the stablecoin exploit. So from what I remember is they had, I'm going to say artificially, but I don't know if that's the right wording here, but they had stablecoins pegged to $1 on their platform, and even though it may have depegged on the back end, it still showed $1. So I guess I don't know how that plays into it, but that's a really interesting concept. So someone like me, who's like really big, I'm really ingrained into the stable coin system. Like I'm really interested in that, and like the visuals of pegging a token to a dollar, a stable coin to a dollar on a centralized exchange, while on the back end in the DEX or whatever it is unpegged. What does that do to the market? And I guess I was just thinking about him saying that and trying to figure out like what that actually means and why that's a huge problem for anyone other than the centralized exchange. Because if in theory I could go on whatever XYZ DEX, buy that stable coin and send it to my Binance account and then redeem it for $1, even though I bought it for 85 cents. So isn't that only a Binance issue, or maybe it's a market maker issue because they're forced to redeem it at one, or like forced to withhold that $1 price point because it says it's $1 on Binance? I don't know. It's an interesting concept. I haven't thought about that, but that caught my attention.
Yeah, and I still, my brain just doesn't have the capacity to understand like part of to your point, like, isn't it just a Binance issue? Like I don't, but yet this is a scenario, it's not, because the entire space got impacted by this. Whether you have all your funds on Binance, you have a fraction of your funds, or you've never used Binance, the aftermath affected everyone. And in a space that prides itself, at least used to, on decentralization and the going the opposite way of big government and banks and change, like, doesn't feel great that one exchange has a technical issue and it not only leads to hundreds of millions of dollars in liquidation cascades, but has sent the market down only for the last 2 months because of one exchange. I know it's the biggest exchange in the world, but it's still one exchange. And we don't, let me ask you this. This is probably going to sound like a really ignorant question. And I know it's silly, but crypto doesn't need Binance, right? Like, just like crypto didn't need FTX.
Send CZ back to prison.
I saw, I've seen some really interesting takes on the timeline too, that crypto was better when it was illegal, or crypto was better when it wasn't we didn't have an administration that was pro crypto and getting all this stuff passed through and bringing in the institutions. And I don't think it, I think that's, if you believe in the crypto thesis, I think it was inevitable that was going to happen. At the same time, I kind of understand where they're coming from. I don't, that said, I still think it's net positive. Wasn't, this time a year and a half ago, this time 2 years ago, we were wondering if we were going to have to, not just use a VPN, but leave the States because we host a crypto podcast. Like, the war on crypto was concerning. And I'm grateful that's not the case anymore. But at the same time, like, as more institutions, as more funds, as TradFi gets deeper and deeper into crypto, the reality is it brings a lot more savvy capital. And I'm not saying this is manipulation. I don't believe that to be the case. I think something broke. Maybe it started there, right? Like, that's in the range of outcomes, that the accident wasn't an accident. I'm not saying that, but it's possible. But the aftermath, I don't think this is just things flushing out, and it's concerning when one exchange can break for a short period of time. If this is all the result of that, man, that doesn't make you feel good. I saw we had a few other hands. I saw our guest co-host Loki joined us here. We're going to get back into the NFT conversation here in a bit. There's two other posts I wanted to share. Let's go back to Oxy for any comments, thoughts on that, and then I got one other post. This actually came up. This is Tom. This is Tom Lee's quant had a take. This is an old take, not old. He said it about a month ago, November 21st, but it just made its rounds again yesterday. But go ahead, Oxy, get back in here, and then I'll read Tommy's post here in a sec.
Yeah. So the comment on like we don't need Binance. I think the amount of volume that goes through Binance and the amount of money that is on a Binance centralized exchange is, I think it's incredibly massive and maybe probably bigger than we understand.
Mm-hmm.
Centralized exchanges in general, I'm relatively anti them. I mean, I think crypto would be better off going completely decentralized, like through decentralized exchanges, using decentralized liquidity pools and having that all on chain. Like, I think that's the way it's supposed to be traded. Obviously, I understand like you're not going to get everyone to be trading that way. You're the only way you're going to be able to have, older folks or people that are skeptical about crypto to even like dip their toes in is through centralized exchanges. So I understand that it's a necessary evil. One point, and I'm blanking on it now, related to the conversation, but yeah, you'll have to come back to me. I can't remember what I was going to say, but
yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I don't know. I think centralized exchanges are just a necessary evil. I'll think of what I was going to say.
I agree too. It just still is. It'd be nice. I agree. It's necessary evil. It would also be nice if they didn't carry as, I don't even say clout, if they didn't have the ability to impact, if it wasn't so big, right? It's like they're so big, and when something goes wrong or something breaks, you would think it would be isolated to the exchange, but it's clearly not. It's clearly not. And Matoshi adds in the chat, it was already proved by someone that it was done by Binance. Someone just deposited funds from Coinbase to Binance, and after that liquidation occurred, it's all on chain deep enough. I don't like. I know people have said that. I respectfully disagree. It's obfuscated because it's an exchange. Like, it's not. We can't see it on chain. Is it on chain? Yeah, but you're not seeing what Coinbase does or what Binance does unless you got access to their back end. It's just all one big giant pool, as far as like we can tell. So one other thing here, I do want to. I got this post pulled up here from Tommy. It's also pinned up top for those that are on the audio spaces. I'll quote again. It says, I think Fundstrat is probably right. Fundstrat is Tom Lee. If a market maker blew up on 1010 and threatened to sue an exchange, the exchange would be market selling their accumulated earnings to cover the gap. Just nonstop, indiscriminate selling. Initially, I thought that doesn't make sense, since the market maker would be buying back the alts they lost, and the alts haven't moved higher, so why not? Unless the market makers know with an exchange selling Bitcoin, it drives alts even lower, and they can eventually buy back even cheaper and earn an ARB. Also, the market maker knows when the exchange is done selling Bitcoin, since they're waiting to get paid, so they buy alts on the final payment. Quantum is an easy to share narrative, but I don't think that's the reason, nor Japan. Anyway, it feels like the indiscriminate selling is done. Think we bounce soon. Anyway, this is completely unconfirmed, accumulated gossip, and tinfoil hat thinking on my part. I'm thinking about what's going on as everyone else. And that he quoted his own post and said, if there's a body from 1010, the speed at which you're selling Bitcoin is pretty crazy, means they are price insensitive and need to exit fast. Someone had that chart of all red candles for days, violent, but means it's hopefully short-lived because it's not orderly. And then he also linked a Cointelegraph article that was Tommy going into speculating that the wounded market makers are behind the crypto crunch. I don't know. I'm just, and again, that post was on November 21st, so we're about a month later, and the selling wasn't done yet. We haven't bounced. Maybe I mean, soon could be a month, could be 2 months, but yeah, we've not bounced yet. And that was almost a month ago. Go ahead, Oxy.
Yeah, and like speaking to the alt price action and like how basically exactly what you were explaining there is what we found out on 1010 was how much these altcoins like low float high FTV altcoins were insanely highly levered through perp dexes and through other means like I think it was AVAX and Arbitrum maybe. I think they dropped like 80% of their price in an instant, all because of liquidations and them being so overly levered on these exchanges. So that, I mean, I think that's one thing that we learned, I guess we quote unquote learned from this event. We probably haven't learned it because we're still doing it, is like this low float high FTV narrative where we're putting out just like super small amounts of token. I mean, it goes back to our hyperliquid conversation the other day where it's like, what's the circulating supply? What's the FTV? And it's astronomically higher than it quote unquote should be because of uncirculating tokens in the market. So I think that's one thing that we realized was, okay, these alt tokens that are super, high FTV tokens that are L1 chains that have real utility, they're incredibly highly levered and were wiped out in an instant simply because of that. So I think that's one interesting point that we should probably keep note of as we're going forward for the next, however many years. When we start getting back to this level again, that's the kind of thing that I'm going to be looking at. Is like, okay, these altcoins are, at X amount of billion-dollar FDVs. Is that realistic? What's driving that price action? What's the leverage like behind this token? Because that's going to be the first thing to go. Is these super, like these low float high FTV tokens that shouldn't be valued at whatever dollars that they're valued at. One thing I did remember what I was going to say about the stablecoin side of things. So one thing, and I think I've maybe said this before, so stop me if I'm repeating myself, but when a stablecoin depegs in like the instance of 1010, I mean, a lot of them did. That doesn't necessarily mean the stable coin isn't backed by real dollars. So just because like if USDC was trading at 85 cents because of huge liquidations, huge price action and whatnot, that doesn't necessarily mean Circle doesn't hold treasury bonds and US dollars on the back end that you would be able to redeem for fiat, like $1 to $1. The reason for a depeg in a lot of situations, there are obviously some stablecoins that aren't pegged to the dollar and actually are illiquid. But for the most part, the reason why there are depegs is because of one, liquidity pools and not enough liquidity being provisioned to these tokens. But then also it takes a long time for a company like Circle or whatever stablecoin you want to pick to or to sell out of the positions that are backing the dollar. So, for instance, if I give $1 to Circle, say, "Hey, I want one USDC. Give me one USDC. I'll give you $1." They'll turn around and they'll buy a short-term Treasury bond. For me to go back to them and be like, "Hey, look, I want to get my $1 back. Here's my USDC." What they do, like this is obviously simplified, but what they'll do is they'll turn around, they'll sell that $1 Treasury, $1 in Treasury bonds. And then they'll turn around and be like, okay, here's your $1 back. Give us your USDC. Here's the exchange. So that process takes longer than half a second to make a trade on a decentralized or centralized exchange, right? So that's another reason why there could be a depeg, is because people are trying to exchange faster than they can, turn around and sell the treasury bond, even though they do have that value held on their balance sheet. So that was just something we were talking about, stable coins and the artificial peg to $1 on centralized exchanges. Just because a depeg happened doesn't always mean that there isn't liquidity on the back end to be fulfilled for that liability.
Yeah, good. I appreciate you sharing. Good take. I was it USDC or USDT that depegged down to like 85, 87 cents in 22, maybe? Do you remember?
Yeah, I can't remember.
It was
I'll
one of
have
the
to
two
look
big
back.
ones. It was definitely one of the, it was definitely Tether or Circle. I don't remember which one, but one of them depegged to the point where I remember like that was my first time really having any sort of material funds in crypto, and like I remember like sweating, like it's probably why I have gray hair, is stressing over which stable coin I should use over those two, thinking one could go to zero. Now knowing what I know, it's exactly what you just described. Like if that ever happens again, like that was the easiest trade. You could have bought $1 for 87 cents and done a lot of it. I think it was Tether, but I could be wrong on that. I don't. It was one of the two though. Jashak, I saw you fly up with your hand. If you want to get in on this conversation, go ahead, and then we're going to bring in Loki and start talking some NFTs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so we actually worked with Circle for about 5 years. We had a USDC mobile app, and I believe USDC depegged. I'm checking here, March 10, 2023. That was the depegging, and it was related to the Silicon Valley Bank crash.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was.
So when SVB went down, it took down like a lot of the actual liquidity that was backing USDC. But I think they patched the hole pretty quickly. It also was related to DAI DPEG, right? Which was a much more disastrous, because I think that was related to Terra Luna, if I'm not wrong. But no, just hearing people talk about the market and the market is down, and I think sometimes it helps to zoom out. I'm looking at Bitcoin going from, over the past 3 years, $15,000 to $90,000 on a perfectly smooth average upward trend, right? Ethereum, pretty much the same. But I think people put a lot of money in all these shit tokens and shit coins that have no value. Bitcoin is a huge store of value, right? Ethereum is the world computer, but you have all these other blockchains pumping because of VC money, their tokens, but they have no real intrinsic value. I mean, even us in our NFT space, I would have to say that tokens like Dude have no value at all. I mean, there's no real value behind it. So when the market crashes, these ones get wiped out completely, right? Which is a shame. But I mean, if you're an investor and you're really investing, you will look at the trends of the market and where the market is going. So if you put money into something that has no value behind it, apart from a community, then don't be surprised if you lose your bags, right?
Yeah. Yep. Very fair. And as we've said a few times, like it's all just it's like on steroids. It's all going to happen faster, both directions. Things can rip up much faster. Things can also go to zero much faster because of the leverage that is now in the throughout the ecosystem.
You will be safe with Bitcoin always, right? I mean, institutional buying will. I think Michael Saylor said 2 days ago that we can buy more than you can sell, right? And it will just continue to ramp. So the market that we're in and the industry that we're in will continue to grow. Just relax, right? Hold, don't sell when you're totally down. It will bounce back, but if you're a day trader, you're probably screwed.
Yeah, and I mean, there's yes, most likely, but there is also risk in Bitcoin. Like there's things like if I'm not saying Sailor's going to get liquidated, I do believe they would have plans in place if they needed to move their liquidation number. But like things can happen. I think it's always good to. It also depends on your timeline. If you need access your funds in the next 6 months, it's different than if you're looking at this as like a 10-year or 20-year type investment. I am go ahead, Aaron, get in here, and then I do want to bring in Loki to the conversation.
Well, it's like you said, it's all about timing, right? So my kid had one of those stock projects for her middle school, and you had to have a certain amount of liquidity, at the end to write a report. And the teacher was like, just buy Eli Lilly. Like it never goes down. Day before the report was due for the class, it tanked to the point where almost nobody in the class could finish the assignment, and he had to change the entire assignment. So now, will Eli Lilly bounce back? Probably. I'm not a stock guy, but they needed to get out in 24 hours, and they couldn't. I mean, lucky for them, it was, fake baby stuff. But yeah, it's all about the timing.
Indeed. I got a few other things. I'm gonna punt that one for another day. Synthetic. This is just what we needed. So we're talking perps all morning. Synthetics is now on ETH. So perps everywhere. It's like the Oprah meme. You get some perps, you get some perps, you get a perp exchange, you get a perp exchange. And then last thing on Ethereum, because it is the home of NFTs, let's be real. Raised $18 million, built before crypto was even an industry, shipped Rio decentralization, 100% uptime despite dozens of upgrades. It's been running nonstop for 10 years, 4 months and 15 days. Total TVL is 97 billion. TVL secured on L2s is 37 billion. Home of the most used real DeFi applications in crypto, host 50% of the circulating stablecoins. On the L2 side, already achieved 32,000 TPS with 100,000 TPS mainnet roadmap ready. The true home of tokenization, the place where long-term plans are made instead of chasing temporary hypes and narratives, is starting to sound like a ChatGPT post. Hosts over 80% of the RWAs. ETF became the third fastest in history to reach 10 billion assets. Institutions are building on Ethereum. People like Tom Lee continue to accumulate ETH, the global settlement layer, the world computer, sitting at 377 billion fully diluted value, roughly the same amount of capital that was wasted and burned on all the so-called competing L1s over the years. Yes, it deserves far more. I remain an ETH bull. I agree with everything that's said. My take, my non-big brain take is that they just the value accrual to the native token was screwed up. They made it way too favorable to the L2s, not enough for mainnet, and it's starting to correct a little bit, but for all that's being built on Ethereum, for all they have, they should be making more revenue. It's wild to think that Hyperliquid was making more revenue than ETH on a 30-day reign. Pump Fund making more revenue than Ethereum. I've said it before. I don't understand why Ethereum didn't launch their own stablecoin. I don't understand why. Maybe this is it. I get their whole decentralization thesis. Some native dApps that are homegrown from Ethereum that drive incremental revenue. Like if you're looking at it as a business, most businesses, after they achieve sort of scale and they have distribution, okay, what other products and services can we drop into our customer base to drive incremental revenue? And I think my small brain take is the fee structure was messed up. It was way too favorable for L2s. The ETH wasn't making enough based on all the net L1 activity and L2 activity. And then they haven't drove revenue outside of the chain. And as we've seen from some of these new chains, like that's difficult. It's difficult to build a profitable business relying just on sequencer fees. Loki, GM sir, appreciate you coming to the stage. Feel free if you want to comment on any of the, whether it's the 10-10 unwinding or my ETH bull take. I'm as I'm remaining bullish ETH, I'm becoming not bearish. I'm not selling Hyperliquid here. I said I might be a buyer. If it hits 10, I'm definitely a buyer. I just, not only do they have the 24 months of token unlocks coming in that ecosystem for the team, which is a very large amount. Coinbase is coming for their lunch. Coinbase is coming for everyone's lunch, it seems. And I know we went through the big Coinbase updates. We don't have to go back to that. But they're not infallible. I remember at one point we thought their NFT marketplace was going to save all of our JPEG bags, and I think they did like 3 transactions on that NFT marketplace, despite hiring, I don't know, they probably spent millions of dollars in payroll on a bunch of former Google people and people that should have been good go to market, but they dropped the ball there. I think they've changed course, and GM sir, what take it whichever direction you like. Any comments on what we were talking about? I do have a few actual NFT things I'm excited to get in with you, but before we hard pivot into NFTs on Ethereum and some on Solana, we're gonna have to talk about a little bit today. But GM, welcome, and
GM, thanks Chris for having me here. GM, everybody. I don't really have smart takes on what you guys talk about. So I'm just gonna stick to NFTs. NFT time whenever we are ready.
So, at the beginning of the show, we were talking with Imlo. Imlo, thanks for coming back up. We were talking about the Jack Butcher receipts now. You've got access to those. If you minted a receipt, you're part of a museum art installation. We talked about the art blocks, send and receive, some low cost, free, fun to experiment. And we also talked about, hey, now's a good time if you want to collect some digital art. If there's things you had eyes on in the past, now's maybe a good time to go collect some low cost things. We talked about doing maybe like a 0.03 ETH or less challenge. Like what's the best art you can collect for under $100, give or take, on chain. And but yeah, there's the other things like more recent, I guess. Yesterday we had Nobody Sausage on here and the Klano and Hebrew team, and they did their blind box drop. While they didn't directly say, I'm assuming that the digital collectible that you, or whatever it is, when you scan your blind box, I'm guessing that'll be an NFT. We had the Doopies finally reveal. I've seen some discussion around how is this a one of one, and I think the explanation has been that it's the metadata. It's going to be part of the evolution process. You had some Doopies, right? You got into that mint. Have you've been following along?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Doopies reveal has been in this market has been, let's say, successful. A lot of people like it, and we have here Machiavelli, right? Hey, what's up? Is your Doopie a rare one?
My Doopie feels like a rare one. This is a one of one Doopie. No, I don't know, but I just know that it does have an animated background and that it's Doopie Doopie Doo, man. Like I love it so much. I like the aesthetics of it. This is a ferocious little kitty.
Yeah, it looks very, very cute. I think people enjoy the reveal. What I probably didn't enjoy is it seems there is nothing more. So there is no sync for dude. There is no gamification. Maybe it will come. I think I remember it was hinted, but definitely it's not ready now. We've seen like it's been weeks, it's been months. The market is bleeding, especially this week again. We've seen Fog went to 0.3 and today is trading for 0.04. That's a substantial crash.
Tough.
So yeah, right.
I just saw these receipts. OpenSea's showing at a floor of 0.09 ETH, but those are, again, I'm pretty sure those are.
They're not tradable, right? So I don't know how people are even listing them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I agree with you. I think for the market and all things considered, the execution around the mint, the communications pre and even post reveal, it's holding up. I thought it'd be 0.5-ish SOL, and I think it's still like 0.75 Solana, which...
You're talking about Dubious?
Yeah.
I actually fumbled this bottom left golden one of one, and I sold pre-reveal, and I looked after reveal, and someone flipped it for like 20 times what I sold it for. So yeah, I mean that happens, but it looks like I didn't miss much because these look exactly the same.
I know it's been a while since we were minting and revealing and flipping NFTs, but if you're new here and you want to get into minting and chasing Grail NFTs, if you do sell pre-reveal, which often is the plus EV move, it's often the most profitable way to play these things. You sell, they run up into reveal, you sell in the run up. If you do that though, you don't look back. Eyes forward. You can't go back and look. You don't want to find you paper handed a 101. It's how I play the game, but no, it's down bad, but I'm sure you'll recover. I did pull up talking to 101s. This came from Dave Satoshi. Says, how are these 4 Doopies 101s if they all have the same species but just different backgrounds? Isn't the rest of the 888 items in the collection technical 101s? If we go by that definition for 101s, I would expect different species that is unique or just different art. My understanding is the metadata is what makes them unique here, that I think they will evolve. To Loki's point, though, I don't I don't understand the
Yes,
communication.
you got it, because they are using the MetaPlus contract, so they will be able to play with it, to change things. So as long as they plan something, I mean, I don't know what stage of development they are, but that's the plan.
It's just confusing, and I don't still for life me understand why they haven't communicated this. Why are they like? I don't know. Like you said,
Yeah,
like
I think because it's very early, and I mean, we've seen that it was a rush. Honestly, nobody really understand why they dropped now. That was like the lowest ever floor price for the main collection, right? So a lot of things didn't make sense, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it seems rushed, but I don't understand why the rush when you worked on it for 2 years. Market sentiment down bad. Unless they just thought it was going to get worse. I get many questions. I'm not gonna. I know I'm probably already upsetting some beautiful holders. The art's good. Like it feels like there could have been a lot more here. To your point, it's still holding a 0.75 floor. There's been some rares that have sold for, higher amounts. I'm just scanning the recent activity now, and there is, there's some good sales in there. Some people hit big wins. There's one for this one sold for 19 Solana. That's a great mint. Like that's on whoever minted this, that's a nice flip. It is a 1 of 1. So I think this is what it is. Like the evolution, you're going to be able to evolve these things. I don't know. Hopefully it's using Dude. Give a reason to have.
You think they're going to charge people more to evolve them?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be crazy.
No, I would be shocked. It's going to either be paid or some sort of participation. I would be shocked if there's
you don't think that needed to be announced at the forefront, that you would need to pay more?
Well, I think they kind of indirectly did by stating the mega boxes, you were guaranteed a third evolution or something like that. So you're paying more to basically skip the level 1 and level 2. You could jump right to level 3 by paying 3-4 times the amount. Go ahead, Oxy.
Yeah, weren't they teasing that it was going to be gamified in some way? Like there was some kind of gaming activation for it? Or am I this way off the base?
No, it's my understanding as well, but it's just not been very clear. And why it's not out? Yeah, I don't know. I don't, or at least details around it. Loki, any
no, yeah, there isn't any official communication on this or team message, but Pocky, or if you can read through the lines in some Discord messages or in some spaces where they've been talking about the collection.
This reminds me of Pool Cats and what they try to do with the egg evolutions with the milk token and going on quests and doing all that kind of thing. That's how to be honest with you, that's how I envisioned the original Doodles when they did the space thing. And then you were accumulating space miles or whatever it was, and then there was different attributes with different power rankings and all that kind of thing. I thought that at some point, I mean, there's so many things that have just like been abandoned. But that's how I envisioned it, which would mean that you're gonna have to spend Doodle or Dude token to like
let me tell
participate.
The initial speculation on how this game was going to be was Dupi. From what they shared, they look like a splatter collection. So they are dying every time. So people were expecting high supply, a game where these Dupies are gonna die. So deflationary collection. But then everything changes. Now the supply is less, and apparently there is no game ready. So
interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize it was supposed to be deflationary. That makes a little more sense why the higher supply, but again, the harp on comms like would have been helpful. Jashaka, go ahead, get back in here.
Oh, I was gonna say, is that like Mima and Captains? Did they have like also like an evolutionary token NFT?
They did. Their art evolved, but I don't think you had to. I think it just evolved over time. I don't know if you had to spend any meme token.
Well, I don't know. Loki's the expert, so I was just wondering if it compares to Memeland.
Man, I'm laughing because the moment you mention Memeland, I mean, it's been 20 years we're waiting for something. So
That's another one. I don't. Yeah, I really struggle with this one because Ray seemed to like be doing everything right early on. He was in the trenches. He participated in all these communities. He learned so much about the space. And I don't know if I've seen him on the timeline for like the last year. And I'm not saying I'm not saying they're it's just so wild to me. The lack of communications for most, not all, for most of the NFT PFP native brands. I also just checked the meme token, which is down 91% on the year to still holding a $58 million market cap, FDV at 64. I'm not even going to look see what it was at all time highs, but
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, they've been innovating at the beginning. Everything was really fun. Was new. Yeah, they were like considered top 5 collection
oh yeah,
and consider almost a blue chip.
hmm
But then I think after, I mean, we've seen like downtrend in the market, so everything went down, and they burn out pretty much, and they couldn't stand, I think, the pressure, and the community became very toxic. So they decide to isolate themselves. They for a year, I think. For a
hmm
year, they stopped showing up on Discord. They stopped communicating anything. So of course, people start to leave. Sometimes it's a strategy, you know. You want to just let the people that bought at the top leave and reset the community, get new people who bought at the bottom, and now they're more willing to support you without fighting you. But we were talking about this situation when Memeland floor price was like 2 ETH. So now we are 0.1. So definitely something went wrong there.
That's crazy. I was just looking. That is wild. That Meme Limb Captains is basically the same price as Artifact CloneX, which, well, you know, they shut it down. It's just art. And they also, I guess, they reverted back on the art. So yeah, there was an evolution of art at one point. Now they're redoing the art, I guess. I don't think that matters, but
Yeah, they are. So I'm still a holder. I like to keep track of what everybody's doing. So yes, there's a work in progress with the art. They've been sharing something. It looks like a Street Fighter. Well, the last time they shared something, looked like a Street Fighter style concept collection. But then in the latest month, they announced they are focusing on the Potatoes IP, which actually makes sense, I feel. But so you see the spread between the two collections became lower. So now people start to, well, let's care about potato. Let's buy potatoes. And where you go to events, IRL events, actually, Meme has been pretty active on that side. So they always push the potatoes IP. Recently, they released plushes. So they are working on that IP. And I haven't heard about Mimlan Captain's upgrade in months.
I can't believe I'm about to say this because I'm not an NFT buyer here. I'm not selling, but I'm also not a buyer. The thought popped in my head. I go, I want this spaceman potato. I remember looking at these things when numbers was going up and up and up, and I was like, oh, I want a potato. Like potatoes themselves were at least an ETH, if not multiple ETH, and they were the secondary collection, which came prior. Like again, so many things this team did right, and then they just. I'm not saying they've thrown in the towel. I'm sure they're working and building behind the scenes, but from going from very public, very engaged to seemingly building in silence, it's so odd to me. I get it. It's hard. I understand why people would not want to deal with the headache, and a lot of disgruntled holders or people just you're never gonna make everyone happy. We just like see more attempt and more effort at some point. But I actually had the thought here I might buy a
Did the art ever reveal for the captains? Like that, I remember them having plans to
It-
be able to
it did.
customize it and whatever.
Loki can correct me, but I believe it did. But then they went back to the generic art because they're redoing it. Is that right, Loki?
Yeah, so there was a first reveal, and we were able to customize trades, and then it was planned to start having NFT trades where actually you could. They were planning to license other IPs, very popular IPs, where you could buy the trade and use on your captains. That was the plan. They were calling it Trade Store. But somehow the MVPs, those are like the 100, 200 orders at that time was trading for like 50 ETH. They were against this idea. They didn't like the art of the captain, so everything was canceled. And in the end, they decided, okay, let's rework on a new art. But then 2 or 3 years pass. It's not just about the art, right? Because the art itself, it doesn't really work. You gotta do something with the IP. So, but there wasn't no storytelling. There wasn't any kind of content after the initial trailer.
Did they ever integrate it into 9gag itself somehow? Like, I know it's the same company, kind of, but I'm wondering if they ever integrate it into their millions of actual users, because it is a real company.
They did launch a product that was a meme coin product. Do you guys remember?
For me, yeah, they
I forgot the name.
Yep. So they had Stakeland and Meme, but did they do anything? Did they bring that into 9gag or no?
No, there was they launched like this summer a meme coin product called Me.
Right, but I'm asking if they brought anything into their native distribution, because they have a Web 2 company called 9gag that is not unrelated, but kind of separate, I'd say, from their Web 3 company.
Yep.
Even if it's under the same umbrella.
Well, on their socials, they share the Memeland link. There's the website, and this meme coin launcher was directly.
That's what it was.
Linked
Okay.
with the 9gag community.
Yeah, it was a meme coin launchpad. Just what we needed, more of those. I see Chishaka and Oxy will go to you in a second. I just happened to notice, I've not been like scanning NFT floor prices without looking. A couple big movers in the last day. Any guesses? Anyone been following? Anyone? There's one. One is up over 30% in the last day. Two up over 30% in the day. If anyone,
Mac is going to be happy. Other side, Coda.
Yeah. What happened? Codas are up. They're about to flip mutants.
I don't know, but my speculation is that you have big NFT collectors like Adam Weitzman that have been buying up Codas and rare other side assets in the past. So maybe it's just catching up to the limited supply of the Codas.
Maybe.
Honestly, he's not even buying like for the assets that he's purchasing. As far as the other side goes, they're not even rare.
Yeah,
like he bought just a big chunk.
Yeah, Coda floor price up 31% to 0.69 ETH. Mutants are 0.7, and then we also had the other one, which I'm wondering if this is telling us that we might be getting a TGE or something soon. Ethos Validators up 32% on the day to 1.66 ETH. I know it's a small sample. They both could be down 30% tomorrow, but it's been a minute since I can remember anything moving 30% in a day. Any word, any news coming out of? If it is anyone here?
I did hear rumblings that the TGE was coming, but I heard it was Q1 of next year. I didn't think it was this year, but I could be wrong.
I gotta stop looking at NFTs.
But Ethos has picked up in activity the past few weeks. If you start looking at like people who weren't active for the last 6 months on Ethos are coming back. And like I've even had people come DM me and request saying, I see you have an invite to Ethos, can you invite me? And I'm like, no, I don't know you.
I will give you an invite if you have a very large account and you'll help my Ethos score. I kid. I gotta stop looking at NFTs because I'm not an NFT buyer here, and I thought about buying a potato spaceman, and now I want to buy this ape Ethos validator. The last time I bought an ape just because I wanted to buy an ape, I'm pretty sure I paid about 1.85 ETH for it. Maybe not quite that, but I think it was around 1 ETH. And after we had a hand trade,
I would say now, if you're an art buyer, is the time to look at art, because art, as down bad as the PFP collections are, the art side has even less liquidity. So there are some great deals to be had, especially if you want to even put in some WETH offers. A lot of WETH offers have been hitting from it the past few weeks because people are just tax loss harvesting, etc.
art or PFP NFTs that have a upcoming TGE that might actually do well. I don't know what they're going to do with the Ethos token. I don't know how it incorporates or how it makes sense into their ecosystem, but I do think they found product market fit. I think they've made some strides there. I'm not sure what the future holds. I'm not sure what they can do from here, but and I'm not buying, but I can't even remember the name of this collection of the last ape I bought. I know. Okay, I found it. Yeah, it was. I knew it was Truth Labs Illuminati. We're gonna do a trip down. You just as you don't look back and see what you would have post reveal and see what you sold pre reveal.
Don't go back into your hidden.
Don't go back and look at blockchain history on things that are in your wallet now. That the current highest offer is 0.0062 ETH or $18. Floor price is 0.01, and I'm trying to find out what it actually sold for, and it's not showing me because I didn't mint it. I don't know why it's not showing the sale price, but
It's possible you bought it on a different marketplace, not OpenSea, so it's not showing there. Not all sales always carry over.
looks like, yeah, I don't. I'm not. This is not great. Not great TV. So I'm not going. It was almost 1,000 days ago. So I'll give myself a little bit of credit there. But yeah, it was an Illuminati ape that. Yeah, I even had a chance. I'm sure I could have sold it after I bought it for whatever I bought it for. But I'm pretty sure I paid like 1 ETH for this thing, and it's worth $20 today.
Tax loss harvested, buddy. I'm kidding, but wouldn't be the worst move.
Yeah. Yep. Let's go Jashaka and then back to Oxy. Jashaka GM.
Yeah, I was just also going to say, because I think we live in pretty much more the NFT world here than the crypto world, that it is an amazing time to buy NFTs right now. I mean, I don't think there has been a better time. When I got into NFTs maybe about last year this time, when everything was ramping, I think Azukis were 40 grand. I mean, the price of NFTs was through the roof. The market kind of crashed. I actually was able to buy and trade my way up to an ape. I traded my way to buy my ape, right? I didn't buy him with cash, Actually, bad buns, that was crazy. I remember buying like 10 bad buns for $300 and then flipping them for $1,500. So, but when the market is down, it's a great time to buy. I just picked up an Azuki that I could never afford. Like I sold my Azuki for 2 grand, put 2 grand on it, and now I got a wicked Azuki. So I think if you're coming into NFTs right now, it's a great time to buy all the legends, all the top brands, right? Because they're so down and they will just go up with the market because all these companies are building like crazy. They're cooking like crazy. So, I mean, not financial advice, but it's just a great time to buy, anything from a top 10 brand.
If it's something
Yet,
you want to
man,
collect,
next week you can buy 2 Azuki for the same price you just pay, man.
that's what I was gonna say. If it's something you really
Azuki is
want to
gonna
collect,
go back to 50K, yo. Those guys have amazing business, doing amazing stuff. I mean, they have real revenue. A lot of the projects in our space can't say they have any revenue.
I would say also to that point, if you're looking for a forever Azuki or something like that, you can look low to the floor. There are actually some very rare Azukis that you can get close to the floor price. And I feel like if or when Azukis pick up, the more rare ones that you got for around the same floor price could like trade better.
But if you've been in crypto for 10 years, it's not if, it's when. right? I mean, I've seen Bitcoin crash so many times and people freak out, and it just
That's fine, but I'm not saying that Azuki is Bitcoin. They're two totally
no, I
different
think that
assets.
you know, the top 10 coins in crypto are the top 10 projects in NFTs. The analogy, I think, would be the same, right? I mean, if people are working behind the scenes, people are buying tons of shit with nothing behind the scenes and then crying, you know? So I would say invest in the doodles. I mean, Pudgy Penguins, Bored Apes. These are the big projects. You can buy their stuff for dirt cheap right now, all of them, right?
Yeah, I just would urge caution that even though there's teams working behind the scenes, there's no guarantee that value ever accrues back to the native token.
No, of course. But you remember that guy who sold his house? Did he sell his house and mortgaged it? He owned it, he mortgaged it, and he bought like 20 Bitcoin or something. Dude went multi-millionaire, you know? So there's risk reward.
Yeah, but for every story like that, you have 1,000 stories of people that leveraged their house and then ended up with no
Well,
house.
of course, because they sold a house and they put it into like Johnny's crypto token that somebody told them was a good deal.
Yeah, but I think most
Or NFTs.
Yeah, I was gonna say most NFTs could also fit in that same bucket right now. Like there's no guarantee that any of these NFTs ever get back to their all-time highs again. And even though there are some quote unquote blue chips, I hated it at the time, but Kobe was right. Most of them are becoming, not all, some are attempting to show alignment, some are attempting to drive value back to their holders or access or utility or perks or third-party benefits. But a lot of them have become meme coins with pictures. They are like a lot of these teams are just basically walking away from any sort of utility or perks. I mean, and I'm not saying they're going to do this. Azuki could sell tomorrow, and it ends up like Artifact. Like the holders are just you have art on chain, and that's it. And for some, that's cool if it's something you really want to collect. If you're really into anime, they are building some things. They've got anime.com. It's a great domain. So far, I don't know how any of that drives value back to an anime PFP. And people used to get all upset, like, "Oh, what does this do for the holders?" That's a fair question to ask. Like, there's nothing wrong with.
But we never bought them originally to get all this shit back. Like when people bought Bored Apes, no one was like, "I'm buying a Bored Ape because they're gonna give me money."
Right, again, but there's a difference between buying it as a financial investment versus buying it as a fun thing because you like NFTs. They're two different categories.
Yep.
Right.
Agreed. And I would say some people did buy Bored Apes and others with expectation of utility and perks and things. Like in the beginning, the first utility was you could get gated access to a digital bathroom to draw penises on a digital wall or whatever you wanted to draw. Most of them were penis drawings on the bathroom wall. And then they released Roadmap 1 and that had utility. And then they released Roadmap 2 and that had utility, some of which they're completing. You know, the Clubhouse, I think, is one of, not the last, but one of the last items of their second roadmap to knock off. And other collections also introduced utility and perks. And while most said, hey, this is a lifetime club, a lifetime access, a lifetime benefit, very few, if any, have committed to lifetime perks beyond access to their club, their Discord, whatever that access equates. It's different for all, but very few have communicated any sort of after whatever they've rolled out or whatever they've announced. And some have announced things and they didn't even do that. So I'm not poo-pooing NFTs. I'm not saying they can't ever come back. I do think it's very different buying something like Bitcoin versus any of these NFTs right now. You've got.
And I'd actually argue the most money I've ever made in NFTs were from free or close to free things.
Yep.
And like that's across the board. So like again, you don't need to spend many ETH in order to get some of these good assets that might have good upside. Like you don't need to leverage your house. You can spend a few $100s and get something that actually might even have better returns.
My journey's been the same. The things I spent more than 1 ETH for, I think I'm down on all of them. I mean, maybe there was some I flipped for a little bit, but my big wins were either mints that were
like even my Beeple thing that I got the other week. That was one of my bigger wins in NFTs, and I got that for free for showing up.
Yep, you can show up, you can participate, you get active, you can get free stuff that ends up having value. If you're paying attention, you get access to allow lists or you know, I just unless it's something you really want to collect or you really want to join whatever they're doing, I think you should only be buying this with money that you're not expecting a financial return. And if it happens and someday you sell it for, win, awesome. But please don't mortgage your house to go buy a bunch of NFTs. Let's go Oxy, and then we'll get Simple Farmer in here. Oxy. I know Oxy is the NFT bull here on the show, and he's probably going to correct check me and say, no, not only mortgage your house, go mortgage your house, go to a loan shark today and get a payday loan out on your vehicle, and go sweep bad buns.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back on mute because you just said exactly word for word what I was gonna say. No, yeah, I mean, so I was gonna bring up another NFT collection that has depreciated significantly, and that's the Kaito. What are they? Yappy
Borrows,
Bros or whatever they are. So like, okay, I feel like NFTs are the worst possible thing to buy to try and get alignment with a company these days. Like Kaito, okay, let's objectively look at Kaito. They clearly have some kind of product market fit. They continue to get companies to, purchase and give them real revenue to run these social fi campaigns or info fi campaigns. They have people subscribe to their their pro platform, which allows you to have insights into different mindshare leaderboards and new VC rounds and like who's talking about what and where's the smart money or smart followers going. All these types of things. It's real revenue that in these NFTs were supposed to have real utility by holding them and getting, some kind of rewards or kickback or like heightened mind share or heightened distributions from these campaigns. And it's been down only, and there's been literally no value accrual back to these NFTs.
Yep.
And I would say the same thing even about the token, but the token, even stakers related to the token, if you stake like 10,000 of them or something like that, even they got something. Like, I just am so bearish on NFTs being some kind of alignment with any project these days. It's just has never, like, every NFT project and every NFT feels like the exact same thing where there's just no alignment whatsoever to the issuing protocol or company or project or whatever you want to say.
I would say there's some, and I think some are making efforts, making attempts. I think we're seeing a lot less alignment than we did in 21, 22, which is wild to me because now, like, they're not getting wild notices. Like, I understand it's not clear. It's some of this is still a gray area, and they can't become securities. But I feel aligned with Rec Drinks because I held a Rec guy, which I minted for free, and not only did it get me some Rec token, which I still hold, it got me equity in Rec Drinks. Now, am I going to sell that equity? No, not planning on it. But I feel aligned because I am literally a vested shareholder in a company that they're building I'm excited about because of an NFT. Like they now you could ask like, okay, that's great, Chris, but why would I go buy a Rec Guy NFT now? I don't know how to answer that. If you like the art, go collect it. If you want to rock it, the digital identity, go do that. But I would not go buy a Rec Guy NFT expecting any sort of financial return whatsoever today. And I'm a big fan of the brand. I love it. I still hold a rare Rec Guy. If anyone wants to buy my rare Rec Guy, it's a GM hoodie with noun glasses. It's fire. It's a grail. But don't I mean I wouldn't. I'm not a buyer here because I don't know what the go forward value accrual or what the go forward alignment is back to the NFT token. Go ahead, Oxy, get back in here. Then we'll go Machiavelli to Shaka and
Yeah, just really quick. I think Rect is probably the only one that's actually done it right. I guess maybe the caveat. Like, I don't think. I mean, I know I'm gonna hear that Yuga did it with the ape coin and mutants and dogs and all that kind of stuff. I like that value accrual. I understand that, but
they did it. It's just you only have so much. You can only do that so many times, right? You can't.
Yeah,
it's not going to work today. It worked then. They absolutely were aligned with their holders. They absolutely drove value to their holders.
Well, I think the problem for
Since
Yuga
then-
also had to do with the Ape DAO, which has now dissolved.
Yeah, but the point is, we're not in an environment, we're not in a market. None of these collections should be dropping secondary collections. That's not driving value. That's not showing alignment. That's just diluting your collection. That's just bringing down the value of your OGs. Like, it's just not.
Do you think Doodle's dropping dupies after already having the token and having duplicators and all that other stuff is dilution?
Yes.
Or adding value?
I view it as dilution. That's me. It's my opinion. I know.
I would agree with that. I was just curious.
And I mean, I would be, I don't know statistics and data points specifically, but I would say since the last Yuga value appreciation back to the holders, I don't even know what it would be. It would probably be the dogs, or would it be ApeCoin launch?
No, it was. There was several dogs, mutants, ApeCoin launch.
But what was the last one that happened?
The last
one,
the last one that I remember was the game, the Dookie Dash game, which you got a sewer pass, which we were selling for
you could sell that.
$10,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I'd be willing to bet since then, not a single NFT project has, outside of maybe Pudgy Penguins with their token, has actually given value back to the community in a meaningful way that's like amounted to anything substantial.
So a year ago, Pudgy dropped 80 to 100 grand to their holders. They also have a chain coming up. Like, they're doing some things. I think we're past the days of, if there's no use case for the token, and I'm sorry, Von Front, this is not, I'm not poking the bear. It's just, we've had this conversation, went a little back and forth. Like, if there is no use case for the token, don't drop it. It's going to go to zero, and you're just going to create another headache for yourself, something to manage, and you're going to upset your holder base. If you look at the ApeCoin chart and the Pudgy Penguin chart, they're very, 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 very different than any of the others that came after them, than Dude, than Anime, which have been, like, Dude, I think it peaked 2 days after TGE, kind of like the normal airdrop of anything, a chain, a protocol. If there's not any motion, if they don't have anything that's sustainable, it usually peaks a couple days after TGE, and then it goes down only. That's what Dude did. I think Anime has been down only from TGE on, because there was nothing to do with either of those tokens. Maybe you could go buy a gacha, or you could go do a raffle, or you could go play a silly game, but there was no real reason. We went back and looked at what Yuga announced after they launched ApeCoin, and there was, like, I don't know, 6 to 10 things in the first month that you could do with the token. From a gated merch shop to a play to earn game to Other Deeds Mint, which was the most anticipated NFT mint of all time. And that's not even debatable. That is objective. They had a lot that you could use, that you not only could use the token for, if you wanted to participate in any of those things, you had to use the token. Now, you can't drop an open world NFT mint today. Like, no one's going to mint that. You can't. I don't think merch drops are the answer either. I just think that there's, like, if you don't have something coming, if there's not preferably a revenue center, a profit center that somehow the token's going to integrate into, don't drop a token. You're just creating a headache for yourself. If you are going to drop a token, they should have some use case, have something to use the token on. Like, even Pingu, there wasn't as many uses as, say, Ape Chain, Ape, but there was, Luca did a great job in timing up the announcement of Abstract, and you got immediate utility. If you held X amount of Pingu on that chain, you were getting bonus XP. Now, that's just a Ponzi. That's maybe not. Like, we don't know. Like, I don't have a lot of confidence that Abstract's. I don't have as much confidence as Luca that Abstract's going to be a $20 billion token. But if it is, those people are going to eat. Pudgies are going to eat again, because there's a whole chain there. Now, will that value accrue back? I don't know, but at least there's something. There's a reason to. Maybe it's not a good reason, but there's a reason to hold. There's a reason to buy. There's a reason to speculate. Most NFT PFP brands that have dropped tokens have not given any real reason to even to buy or hold or even speculate. The only thing they've given their holders to do with the token is to sell it, and so naturally people sell. Let's go. I want to get Simple Farmer in here. Take it whichever direction you'd like. That Coda, which is up 30% in the last 24 hours, or anything you want to hit on, and then we'll go to Shaka and then Machiavelli.
Hey, GM, everybody.
GM.
GM Cap, low key. I wanted to touch on, first of all, just like it's a lot of discussions, like, right, NFT floor price, what does value accrual look like? I think what we've seen, not just in NFTs, but also in DApps, DAOs, is that incentivization programs, although enjoyable for holders, are not sticky. This is not a sticky thing, right? Once they pass, holders tend to leave. That being said, I think the NFT floor price is struggling for the same reason the altcoin or mid and low caps price is struggling. Altcoins simply haven't had a prayer lately, and that is similar in NFTs because I think that's a similar pattern of liquidity flow. Now, what I think is the solution is it's not sexy and it's not fun. It's just hard work. The solution to success here, and there's no substitute for demands. There's no gimmicks. There is no, type of token. Although I think the strategy tokens were really interesting, and that was the first time I've seen NFT successfully tap into DeFi revenue sources to essentially push buy pressure onto their projects. Now, the two top DeFi revenue sources are token swaps and perps. By far, it's like 90%. The issue is, right, we talk about perps. I don't think people are like, oh, another perpsex launching, another perpsex. Perpsexes are launching because they're making money. And they're making money because it's the easiest way to gain additional exposure when you speculate. Now, I don't think the issue is specifically with leveraged trading. So the issue with perps is not the perps themselves, but the fact that they cause liquidations, and this is causing like god-awful charts, right? We're getting liquidation candles left and right. So what I'm working on specifically with Clutch Labs, and you were talking to Aaron earlier, is building a new form of leverage trading that solves for that essentially lev trading without liquidations. And I believe the back end solution to that lies within prediction markets, which we're seeing do super well here. So there's a lot of builders trying to figure things out. I think we'll win long term.
I agree, especially those that are building and attempting to figure things out. And I don't have any, like, there's people here that you may think I'm a homer because I rock an PFP. Simple Farmer and others on that team could tell you I'm not only provide constructive feedback here on the show, I'm critical in some some offline conversations, and they listen, they're working, they're building. You may not agree with it, you may not think it's the right thing to be doing, the right thing to drive value accrual back to their token or the NFTs. I'll look you all in the eye and I'll say there's at least making an effort. And that is, to me, a very big difference. Is I don't see any effort to drive value accrual for a lot of these NFT PFP brands, the tokens associated with them. And this isn't just singling out Ape and Pingu, but they're making an effort. They're attempting to continue to build. Maybe they catch lightning in a bottle again. Maybe they don't, but they're still attempting. And I'm not. Von Front he said for the record, he never said to drop tokens without use cases. If I said that, my mistake. He does say, though, that, and he does agree that Ape and Pingu ran better plays compared to almost every other PFP token. That was my point. They executed better because they made an effort. They attempted to drive value accrual back to the holders of said token. They gave use cases. They gave reasons to buy and speculate, and it worked. Both of their charts went up big. And you know what? Everything's relative. I've got a draft comment. I'm just going to hit send on it, but everything is relative. Most non-majors have crashed big. Most, not just NFTs and tokens, there's publicly traded stocks that are down the same percentage or more than is Ape and Pingu. Like, a lot of things have crashed since 21, 22. It's not just NFT fungible tokens. But forget about NFT PFP tokens, because I don't think there are any others that have had that success of Ape or Pingu. Remove their all-time highs, just view them for what they are today. Ape is still is trading at a $200 million FDV. Pingu's at an $800 million FDV. To which I'd ask, like, what other tokens that have launched in 2025? I know there's a few, Hyperliquid being one of them. But what other tokens have launched in 2025 that have an FDV of 200 to 800 million? Yes, they're down, as again, a lot of things are down, but there's still something. Like, there's still something there, because I believe the reason that they're still at 200 and 800 and not at 20 and 80 is because these teams are continue to do, they're taking swings at the bat, and if they keep swinging, someday maybe they don't hit a home run, maybe it's not a grand slam, but there's probably a single or a double along the way. if they don't make an effort, if they, we were talking about meme earlier, if they never do anything with the meme token, it's just going to continue to go to zero. If there's no effort, if there's no attempt, they launch their meme coin launchpad and it didn't work, well, they can give up or they can swing the bat again. Before I go to Deshaka, though, the most important thing, Von Front is telling me I'm burying the lead by not addressing your gym pick. Someone earlier, like I think it was actually probably Von Front as well, said someday I might go toe to toe on the thirst traps with you. I'm not. My only next thirst trap you'll see for me is if I actually do a shirtless selfie. It's going to be with a 6-pack. I gave one last year on my 45th birthday, and that would probably be my last thirst trap on this timeline, unless the 6-pack is achieved, and then yeah, why am I doing it if I'm not at least going to flex it once? But one thing I will not do, mine will be waste up, because I know the work it takes to get quads like Simple Farmer has here, and I'm not willing to put in the work. My legs are not that. I'm too skinny, too long and lanky, and too skinny, and I'm never going to compete with him on a leg day thirst trap. Just Shaka, go ahead and save me from my. Go ahead, Shaka.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got
Can
you.
you hear me?
We got you.
Okay. No, I was gonna just say that on the topic, of building value for holders, right? I mean, all these big projects in our space are doing huge things that's going to bring big value to holders. I mean, not to harp on Azuki, but when they integrate anime coin with anime.com, which from what I understand already has over 1 million real anime fans on that site, you're going to see their token go crazy. And until they do that, they just need to keep building, right? But the flip side of that is when you have a market, like, again, I'm new to the NFT space. You guys been here longer, but when you see a market that comes out of nowhere where people are making crazy money, buying an ape for 1 ETH and flipping it for 40, there's a huge problem with extractors in this space. And as a founder of a project, we experience this, we understand it, and we've been figuring it out. But we partnered with a huge blockchain recently, and they basically built a tool to help to identify extractors. Extractors being people who have nothing to do with our space, and they're just here for the giveaways, the token drops, and they just sell. And I mean, I would probably say 50% of the space right now is extractors, and this is not normal extractors like people who are a part of this space trying to make some money. These are people here just to get your bags and get your money. And I think I don't know how to solve this problem.
Isn't that what a trader is, though? How do you differentiate between a trader and an extractor for someone that's participating in an ecosystem?
I think traders are people who are doing this for a job, who it's part of what they're doing. Extractors are people here just to scoop up the airdrops, just to get the giveaways, sell them, and pull cash out. A trader is someone who's kind of all in, right? They're trading. I mean, crypto and NFTs are slightly different, right? Also, I think this affects a lot of the TGEs where NFT companies.
Are you talking about like Wintermute as an extractor, or like someone, or like Joe Schmo that's trading an NFT to try to farm the airdrop and try to get money and then sell it?
Joe Schmoes, trying to get the tokens. I mean, extractors, people who are not a part of any community, who don't bring value to.
But wouldn't that mean that they're part of the community if they hold the token?
Well, I mean, for instance, you got guys who have 40 accounts, right, set up just to basically get in on giveaways and get in on airdrops, right? So, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, like, I don't have 40 accounts. I have one account.
That's not the average individual, though. That's not the
40% of Web3. It's 40% of Web3 right now. You probably, people need to take a look.
If that's 40% of Web3, I wouldn't necessarily call that an extractor. I'd call that like close to half.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 40%. I just don't think, like, there's just like, if things were booming and there was actual money to be made flipping these things, then yeah, there's going to be grifters and extractors. People.
Yeah, maybe grifters is a better word. But the blockchain we're working with, they showed us like back-end data on the huge amount that wasn't here like 2 years ago, right? People who said, wow, this is a get-rich-quick thing. let's all go there and
Yeah,
and
that's my
just
whole
buy
point. Is I don't think
Monte
anyone is coming from the. I feel very confident saying this. I think there's close to zero people outside of existing participants that are viewing NFTs as a get rich quick scheme. I don't think there's any new extractors or scammers coming into this ecosystem at this time. I'd be happy to be proved wrong. I think that is just. I don't know what data they're showing you, but I just don't think that's accurate. There could be farmers. There might be people farming rewards programs for marketplace, stuff like that, but they're just not new people. Yeah, there's just not new entrants. They're just not.
I think maybe what the data they're looking at is just saying like these are real users versus someone that has 10 accounts, and I think that there's a difference between those two people. But I don't think that saying that someone that wants to make money off of an asset that is hyper financialized is a quote unquote extractor just because they're participating.
Yeah, agreed. Machiavelli, go ahead, get in here.
Whatever the word is, sorry, whatever the right word is. I'm just saying the data that we saw from a huge blockchain on the amount of scam accounts here scooping up your rewards for being part of your projects.
Yeah, there could be like new chains. Are they going to have Cybele farmers and people trying to, just be there to farm their rewards? Yeah, sure, but I think that's just very, 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 very different than people coming in to buy and flip NFTs to extract. It's just not happening anymore. It might have at one point. We are way past that, and there's no new money coming to buy NFTs thinking that this is the way. This is how I'm going to extract.
But by the way, I would almost guarantee you that any project founder, if you said we're going to bring in 100 new quote unquote extractor collectors who want to buy and make money off your collection, they would be happy that 100 new buyers are buying into their collection, even if they want to sell it for a profit in the future.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask Oxy what he like. So we were supposed to get the Digital Clarity Market Act passed in September, then October, then November, then December. They pushed it off again to January. I do think that if they do push it off again, we're going to see NFTs go lower. But I also think it will be a catalyst. And I wanted to ask Oxy what he thought of this if it gets passed, because I think we're going to see a lot of these digital asset treasury companies reactivate and stuff like that, because it's become a commodity and now that it can hold the balance on the sheet. You know what I mean? And so I think once that passes, that we're going to see a huge change in the NFT market. Like, as far as I'm concerned, everything's on a fire sale right now because there is no clarity. But as soon as we do have clarity, I think that we're going to see a shift.
I hope so. I'm not holding my breath, though.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. Like, it's going to take, like, say, here's my take on this, and then go ahead and get back in here, Oxy, because I know it was directed at you. I don't think anything from a macro standpoint, from a regulatory standpoint, unless they say, hey, if you hold NFTs, you can get equity in the underarching brand that also happens to be making money and profitable revenue, and then they choose to do that. I don't think anything is a real catalyst for NFTs unless the teams start driving value accrual back to their NFTs, or something brings in new market participants, new buyers. And the reality is they're not coming here to collect art. They're not coming here for digital identity. I don't think. Maybe someone will buy some digital identity to go play in other side. I don't think they're buying $1,000 NFTs to do that. They're going to go buy a Boximus or something, one of these new, that's actually buried the lead today, talking about the Feels, the new program on Amazon where they're supporting G's as well as Chimpers. Like, it's really cool. We'll do a deeper dive with that team next week, but
So what would you see a catalyst for, let's say, digital art between now and next Art Basel?
Can I hear Oxy's reply, please?
Yes, and then we'll answer it and close. Go ahead, Oxy.
I don't think you want to hear my reply, Machiavelli.
No, I do. I respect what you think.
Oh, I appreciate it. No, I mean, I really don't think. Like, so I guess right now, I don't think anyone views NFTs as a security anyway. Like, I know, like, legally, there's been issues with, Yuga being sued because their NFTs were deemed securities, and then I think that ended up getting thrown out, if I'm not mistaken, where they're, oh no, it's not actually a security. I think the only thing that the Clarity Act really is, it's kind of like Hyperliquid burning their already burnt tokens. It kind of feels like, okay, like NFTs aren't securities unless there's a security aspect of it, which essentially is what everyone's already kind of deemed to be the case anyway. So I think where the struggle is going to be is, okay, these aren't securities. That's great. It's a digital good or a digital asset or what have you, a digital collectible. The only way that I think a company would come in to buy an NFT is exactly what Cap said. Is like, okay, is this actually giving me exposure to this company or this brand just in a meaningful way that is equity? Like, it's very clear that tokens don't equal equity, and then tokens don't equal value accrual for that specific company unless there's like actual utility associated with it. That's besides the point, because VCs are dumping the tokens immediately, and no one's coming in to buy alt tokens other than Hyperliquid and then Ethereum and Solana, basically, because they have a chain and there's actual use case. There's token burn, whatever. No one's going to come in and buy an NFT, just like they're not going to come in and buy Kinetic token or whatever token is getting launched that actually doesn't mean anything or actually doesn't do anything, because it doesn't have any value accrual that goes back to the underlying company or project. So I think I mean, I think it's good. It's good clarity. That's all we really wanted was clarity, right? I mean, since the beginning is we wanted clarity for what's an NFT, can we buy it and not get fucked by the government? And I think that's a good thing, but I don't think it's enough to drive people back to be like, okay, now that it's in law that it's not a security, I'm going to come in and buy it like crazy, because it's already kind of the underlying assumption at this point. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I will two other high level things we'll fly over. I will add this. I think this is coming out of the war room. I'm not gonna I won't share the individuals unless they want to be quoted, but NFT brands need to figure out a way to drive people to burn their NFTs. Far too much supply. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yo, I'm sorry to interrupt, Cap, but actually, heavy metal is a perfect example of something that's going on right now that is like this, because after taking over the brand, they're taking that large supply of heavy metals, and you can actually burn one and get the new pet that's going to be released out in the end of February. Or you can take the amps that are attached to it and you can evolve it into an Evo 2. And while we've only seen like 5,000 come across the way, several more of like as the price goes lower, people are buying them, and like from in my group and stuff, we're going to be turning them into pets. But it doesn't. You're not creating a new supply. You're not minting anything else. You know what I mean? You're just taking what was already there, creating a new collection.
I think if you're going to launch a secondary collection or you want to do new art, do it by way of burn. There's just too much supply. The market, all NFT PFPs and those that are still here and are still relevant. There's just far too much supply for the actual for the demand. And one, like, gamify it, have some fun. The follow-up comment to that was, this is where the gamification of tax harvesting needs to become a thing. Like, don't maybe just sell an NFT for 0 or 0.0001 or burn it, send it to a burn address. Create some fun around it. Gamify it. Make a decision. You can keep your art, or you can burn it and get the new thing. Not, hey, we're dropping this new thing that you can go give us $200 for, to buy one of these things. Like, we don't need any more. We need less. If you're going to do something different, at least make it a 1-to-1 where you got to make a decision to burn an NFT. And again, let's use the technology more. Let's experiment. Let's have some fun. I know burning NFTs might upset some people, might make them feel away, but you don't have to. Do something different. And I think so many have just not even made seemingly doesn't seem like much attempt or much choppy. Okay, audio choppy. My bad. We'll do some troubleshooting afterwards. YouTube is choppy. Here's what we're gonna do. We'll go one more comment from Chicago White. Before we go there, I will say I'm not gonna buy the captain. I'm not gonna buy the potato. There's one. I'm not gonna name it because I want the floor to keep going a little lower. But there's one NFT PFP that I actually truly want to collect. For just the art. Probably don't have to think too hard to connect those dots. provenance is important. And then, not even joking, I'm not going to say who or what it entailed. I had a conversation this week, if not this week, it was last week. I had a conversation very weeks, days running together, very recently, about buying a heavy metal or heavy metals. Maybe nothing comes of it. I know Adam is on record saying don't buy this because you think numbers going to go up. We're not going to play any games. We're not going to do floor sweeps, that stuff. But it's very obvious they're working. They're doing some things. They've not given up. And maybe there's never any value accrual. Maybe it is just a pet in a game and that's it. And that's fine. But for 0.021 ETH, what is that, $60? $62? I spent way worse than $62 on a lot of things in this space. And I want to support builders who are here, who are attempting to show alignment with their community, their holder base, that are attempting to do new things, that are experimenting. And just hearing that, that was first I heard about the pet thing, but okay, cool. I don't know how it plays out, but rather than sell another collection, you gotta make the decision. Do you want to keep the heavy metal, or do you want to burn it for the new one? I like it. I dig it. I'm into it. Shaka, go ahead. Then Simple Farmer can take us home.
Yeah. So I mean, kind of don't want to bring back up the extractors, grafters, whatever, but just as an example, like Azuki launched Ali Escape on Telegram, and really it was, for the Azuki community, but they had to reset the leaderboard because Telegram game farmers took over, and so all the rewards were basically going to the wrong people, right? You build something for your community, and then people take over from outside of your community, and then it doesn't really deliver. I see this happening with
again. Shame on them. That's part of the problem. They need to take the blame there. That's on them. Yeah, you're gonna have farmers.
Yeah, no, I don't think they didn't complain. I just noticed that.
I'm complaining. I'm telling them that's a failure on Azuki's part. That's bad. Like, be better. Like, you have NFTs, gate it, make it only your community can do this stuff. It's not hard. I mean, it's like that. This is where I feel like I'm taking credit. When you talk about value accrual, showing alignment to your supporters. So, if there's some rewards there that the community clearly wants, and people who aren't in the community are coming and farming it, that's on them. That's 101. Stop.
Or token gate the rewards, because you still want to appeal to Web 2, but Web 2 is different, right? So you could still have all the Web 2 people playing the game, but still token gate the rewards, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. But not making
on the Clarity Act. Sorry. If NFTs are not securities, does that mean we can get back to money laundering?
I mean, it probably already happens. Simple Farmer, did you want to get in here with one last question or comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak positively to the path set out by Adam and Gabe. I kind of actually loved what Adam put out. That was a really interesting way to market, right? It's like, hey, we're gonna have in our enjoyment. This is gonna be our thing we do out of enjoyment. We're gonna create a brand. He said, when somebody says essentially don't buy this, essentially it kind of makes me want to buy it more. So, and I just want to say shout out to them. I do speak to Gabe on a daily basis, and they are really grinding, putting in work. Obviously, they got the resources. I know they're working on like an anime as well to back the collection. So I think it's going to be really interesting, really fun. Obviously, at $60 per NFT, seems like a really interesting prospect.
Not yet, hot mic. I tried to mute it, but it came back off, so I muted from the stage. Yeah, again, they're making an effort. I'm not saying it's you don't have to agree with everything. You can challenge them. But at least they're making an effort. There's things you can do with it. They're doing new things. Some I think are just becoming slow rugs. And for as upset as I got with the Tally Labs team for rugging Jenkins and just taking their funding and revenue they made off the NFT mints and going and building something outside of crypto, at least they shut it down. At least they, once they decided they weren't going to do anything, they weren't going to show any alignment or drive any value back to their collectors and their supporters and their holders, they said, hey, we're pivoting out of the space. Have fun with your really bad art from the I mean, it wasn't that bad after they redid it, but that one really pissed me off. I know some would dispute, and I know we use rug too frequently. That really felt like a rug.
What about Artifact and Nike? That was the craziest upset to me, because you have a brand like Nike that obviously has funding and could keep it going, but just decided to sunset it because they weren't getting out what they wanted.
Yep. And I guess a little different there because it is a big, massive publicly traded company, and sometimes like divisions get sunset all the time in these publicly traded companies. Like I think Starbucks Odyssey was a well-ran program. I liked it. They were doing things on the loyalty reward program that I think could have scaled. It could have been used could have been used as a good case study, could have been used elsewhere. And they had a CEO change, a leadership change. They said, hey, we're not putting any more time, resources, or money into this. And just, it is what it is. Tally Labs and Jenkins was not that. Whatever. It is what it is. I just, my overarching point is I'd almost rather, as much as I don't want to see it, I'd rather some of these teams, if they're done, if they're not going to do anything to show alignment with their holder base, with their collectors, with their supporters, they're never going to do anything to ever attempt to drive value to that in the form of any access or perks. Because many of them aren't just art. And art, it's fine to just drop art and hey, this is our art and there's nothing else coming. Most were not that. Most were, even if they've completed their first roadmap, there was always the assumption of ongoing utility, perks, and rewards, and most of just or some sort of value accrual, some sort of alignment, and some sort of utility. And it's just been pretty silent for a while. All that said, good chat on NFTs today. I don't know if there's going to be an NFT catalyst other than teams working and continuing to ship, and sooner or later they hopefully catch lightning in a bottle again, and maybe there is some regulatory clarity. Maybe there is somehow it's incorporated in some ETFs. I'm not expecting TradFi to come buy JPEGs, but I do think there is opportunity for. I mean, the reality is they need to build profitable businesses. They need to drive businesses that are generating revenue, and that unlocks potential to do a lot more things, whether it's rev share or buybacks, or they can do a dividend someday. It doesn't matter if they're not making any money, if they're not bringing any revenue. So it is important that they build something that can drive revenue that's not just selling things to their holder base. And there are some that are doing that. I'm rooting for them hard. So all that said, appreciate everyone being here. We'll be back tomorrow, Monday. No days off here. We will be live every day next week at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Probably won't run the full 2 hours. We won't on Christmas Day, maybe like half hour, hour. Probably just pop in, say hello. As I wind things down, I'm going to repin the link for the space with Funky. Funky's Fridays, presented by Global Stake. Excited to join Funky at noon today. That's here in about an hour and a half. We'll talk to y'all then. And for those that can't make it, we'll be back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, like always. Don't forget to go hit the newsletter. That's going to hit on Saturdays now, I believe. And making some changes there. Appreciate all the feedback we got last week. Look for the pool. And I don't know. I'm not promising any utility. I'm not promising any perks. But I tell you what, if I ever have the opportunity to drive utility or drive some value back to our listeners and supporters, it's going to go to those who have supported us, whether it's a newsletter subscriber, whether it's a 5-star rating and review, or just a canned review. If you think we don't deserve 5 stars, then don't give me 5 stars, but I'll have some choice words with you afterwards, a kid. And our DJ pass holders. If I have the opportunity, those are the people I would prioritize. It's just not it's not the priority, but other than like giveaways and working deeper with our sponsors on that front. And we do plan to do more of that as we head into the new year. So we're going to do some stuff with the other open page team again, where we did our badges over there, and everyone who supported us. We're not going to ask you to spend hundreds and certainly not thousands of dollars, but the support that's been given is definitely not gone unnoticed. And as we look to clean up our email newsletter, if you get that opt-in, make sure you do opt in. You're not going to want to miss out of not just the information, but we do plan to do some fun stuff there as we head into the new year. So thanks again. Appreciate everyone being here. Have a wonderful weekend. And if you want to hear more raspy voice, I'll get some coffee or something before noon. But join me and Funky here in about 90 minutes, and we'll talk to you then. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.